Why are some people given a peaceful life, while others must fight for the right to see another sunrise? Sometimes fate chooses a person without warning, changing their entire life in a single moment. Now he stands before a world where ancient powers hide behind ordinary reality, and deadly danger may await him with every step. Here, you can't trust everything you see. You can't rely on strength alone, and you can't let fear take control. Because the true trial doesn't begin when you step into the spirit world. It begins when the spirit world steps into you. Torn notebook pages, crooked lines. Zhang Yuan King. Where is your father? Did he run away, abandon you? Ha 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 ha. A child unwanted by anyone. Only bad children are unwanted by anyone. Ha ha. A bad child. A bad child. Disgusting. Probably his old man already died somewhere like a dog. This boy isn't needed by anyone. Don't play with him. Let's go from here. Ha 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 ha. Hearing these sneers and insults, the boy freezes over his desk. This pressure feels like dark shadows pursuing him. Items from his backpack are scattered on the floor nearby. Their gazes are fixed on the crying boy, piercing him with their reproach. One of the shadows turns towards a fist wreathed in warm light, rapidly approaching, and dissipates, like dark smoke, from the impact of this fair-haired boy's punch. What nonsense are you spouting? Extending his fist as a warning to the others, the young man shields the boy with his body. Idiots, you don't understand anything. You believe any rubbish they feed you. Get lost. The offended boy looks at his savior with tears in his eyes, like a hero. Tears stream down his face and drip from his chin. Brother, the savior takes him by the hand, smiling broadly. Come on, Yuan King. If they bother you again, just tell me. As if infected by this confidence, the boy stops crying and smiles back. Okay. He follows behind his brother, who has become his safe shield. As long as Brother Bin is beside me, but at one moment their hands separate. This alerts the boy, and he raises his eyes to his brother. Now a dark haze appears above him. Bin stands with his back to him. Yuan King? His brother seems to vanish, dissolving into the darkness that grows stronger and stronger. The boy reaches out his hand, trying to reach him. Hey, where are you going? The silhouette of his brother becomes bright and dissolves before his eyes. I'm sure... Seeing this, the boy begins to shout, Brother Bin, don't go! Brother Bin! But the last words echo, you will definitely manage. A grown-up young man wakes up from a nightmare in a cold sweat. Completely soaked, as if after a run, he sits on the edge of his bed, placing his hand to his face and bending one leg towards himself, then reaches for a jar with a blue lid. In high school, I began to suffer from a strange illness. My brain uncontrollably threw up episodes from the past, including forgotten garbage information. Along with this, consciousness indiscriminately collected and analyzed everything around it, resulting in incredible control of the brain over the body. He pours several blue pills into his palm. The biggest drawback is that when the symptoms worsen, I get a splitting headache. He throws them into his mouth and swallows. Doctors couldn't determine the cause. Thanks to a special medicine my mother brought from abroad, my condition was brought under control. Only then does he get out of bed. At this moment, a voice is heard behind the door. Yuan King, are you awake? A package arrived for you. I left it by the door. It's time to get up. Breakfast is getting cold. Hearing this, he sighs tiredly. Coming right away. He leaves the jar of pills on the table, opens the door. But recently, the effect of the medicine has barely been felt. It seems I am developing a tolerance to its effects. Going into the common room, he sees his calm grandmother and a girl who is rocking on a chair and waving at him. Yuan King, I'll take you shopping later. The young man calmly takes the package while the girl continues to have breakfast. He examines the delivery information. No sender specified. Suddenly he notices someone's presence, a piercing gaze. Damn it, this is bad. Suddenly his grandmother strikes him. If you agree to go with your aunt, I'll break your legs. The young man manages to cover up, raising his arms above his head. Seriously? It's her initiative. Why break my legs? But the old woman takes a fighting stance again. I'm not at an age to throw empty threats around. Believe me, I will do it. Their argument is interrupted by the girl, who hugs the young man around the neck and smiles. But Mom, Yuan King is almost 20 years old. This is the perfect time to date girls. If he doesn't have good clothes, how can he attract beauties? Her words make his head spin. She's using me again. The grandmother scolds her too, sternly pointing a finger. Don't think I don't know what little scheme you two are up to. You, naughty girl, are going on a blind date today, and don't even think about sneaking away. If you don't get married soon, There will be no one to take care of you in old age. Yuan King feels like an outsider. I'm not involved in this at all. Now the girl defends her position. Mom, if you have time, you should better take care of my brother. Besides, all the blind dates you arranged for me were, to put it mildly, terrible. It's just unacceptable. She remembered one scary suitor. Jang, I think we're a perfect match. And the young man takes the opportunity to leave. While these two are fighting, I'll go open the package. Leaving for his room, he hears a voice. Yuan King, I'm going out. I'll text you later. He opens the package and peers inside the box. From there, he takes out a black business card. On it is visible a pattern of clouds resembling smoke and a circle in the middle with a blue glow. What a pleasant texture. It looks like a visiting card from some kind of club for the rich. He puts it in his pants pocket. Then he takes out a yellow envelope. Inside is a letter. Yuan King, I found something interesting. It seems to be something that can change an entire life. However, my abilities are limited, and I cannot cope with it. I'm sure you won't have any problems. We are brothers, so this is my gift to you, Lei Yibing. He reads the letter, thinking, so it's from Brother Bin. Change a life? Can't cope? What is it? Now he stares suspiciously at his phone with a stony face. We haven't talked for ages. And then, this strange card. You, Brother Bin. Bringing the tube to his ear, he waits for the beeps and hears in response, hello? The young man's tone instantly changes to friendly. Brother Bin, you are as insightful as ever. But in return, only a short pause. Yuan King? This is Father Bin. The young man's mood immediately falls. Oh, it's you, Uncle. I was calling Brother Bin. The man didn't beat around the bush. Yuan King, the young man freezes. The young man's gaze becomes anxious as he hears the continuation. I'm at his institute now. Bin has gone missing. He immediately interrupts the speaker. Missing? Have you contacted the police? What did they say? Only then does he allow the man to continue. Yes, he hasn't been seen for 2 days. We received a notification yesterday and rushed over immediately. It's complicated to explain. Bin disappeared under strange circumstances. He was last seen in his dormitory room. The recordings were reviewed. It turned out that he didn't leave since entering. There was a roommate in the room. As soon as he looked away, Bin seemed to evaporate. The police questioned the roommate. He insists, I remember we even exchanged a few words before going to sleep. He didn't go anywhere. Thoughts swirl in the young man's head. Evaporated? No way. Even a baby wouldn't believe such nonsense. Maybe he crossed someone and was kidnapped. But aloud, he says something else. How is that possible? The man continues. The school administration and the police told us to go home and wait for news. We haven't closed our eyes all night. Yuan King tries to cheer him up. Uncle Lei, don't panic yet. My grandfather and cousin work in the Public Security Bureau. I will ask them how to solve this problem. He ends the call. Placing a hand on his chin, he falls into thought. He disappeared 2 days ago. Didn't leave his room. Wasn't caught on camera. Jiangnan Province. Sent me a package. Inside was a letter. A black card. He reaches into his pocket and freezes in confusion. The card he put there earlier is gone. Stop, where is it? I definitely put it in my pocket. This discovery throws him off balance. Just vanished into thin air? He walks over to the table, leans on it, and rubs his temples. Black card, Jiangnan Province. Brother Bin. Ugh, my head is splitting. He reaches for the bottle of pills again. A searing pain pierces his head. The black card. Brother Bin disappeared after sending it to me. The item seems very strange. Clearly not just a trinket. A letter with a clear phrase, I can't control it. He decided to send it to me, and not the Security Bureau. Maybe because he doesn't trust local authorities? His phone rings. My grandfather is a retired police chief and my cousin is a captain. The disappearance of Yibin. Our family has strong connections, so people in Hangzhou won't be able to get to me here, will they? In the crowd, he seems to catch sight of his brother, radiating warmth against the gray mass of passers-by. Change your life. They seem to stand facing each other but hesitate to approach. You'll definitely handle this. We are brothers. This is my gift for you. Blood trickles down the young man's nose in thin streams. The hands gripping the pills tremble slightly. He hastily throws the pills into his mouth and washes them down. At that moment, an old woman's voice rings out. Yuan King, investigators from Kangyang District have arrived. They want to talk to you. Hearing this, he immediately turns toward the door. Doubt is visible on his face. From my brother's department? To talk to me? Just a coincidence? Then, an indignant voice from his grandmother reaches him. My grandson would never do anything wrong. What are you sniffing around for here? Hey, Yunzi, come here immediately. An unfamiliar voice tries to calm the woman. It's just routine procedure, ma'am. Please remain calm. Only then does he respond, I'll be right there. Just in case, he deletes the call log entry about calling his brother. He goes out to greet his guests. His grandmother stands frozen in the doorway, not letting them enter yet. I checked their IDs. They are indeed investigators from Kongyang. They said they want to ask you a few questions. If you've been up to no good behind my back, you'll have yourself to blame. The young man confidently shakes his head. Nothing like that. If it can't be done behind your back, then it can be done in front of you, right? He examines the guests in the doorway, a man with light hair slicked back. He has curled black mustaches and a matching goatee. He is wearing a red jacket and a white cloak. Next to him is a woman with long blonde hair, round earrings, and a white blouse. So these are his cousin's colleagues? He approaches the man. Well then, come in. My name is Zhang Yuan King. What did you want to ask me? The mustachioed gentleman immediately gets down to business. Sorry for the disturbance. Do you know Lei Yibing? The young man understands everything at once. Brother Bin? We grew up together. What happened to him? The old woman closes the door as Yuan King leads his guests into the room. Please, come in. With them is a man wearing glasses and a shirt, holding a folder. My cousin is a second squad captain from Kangyang. Since these three came to our home, they must be well aware of the situation. Wouldn't they have warned us before visiting a colleague from the same system? Entering, he points to the sofa near the table. Would you please sit down? The guests sit down. Thank you. The man is wearing shiny black leather shoes. It appears Lei Yibing has suddenly disappeared. The Security Bureau of Jiangnan Province contacted us and reported that before disappearing, Yibing sent you a package. The young man slaps his hands on the table. Wait, disappeared? How is that possible? The man in glasses immediately interrupts him. Please refrain from asking counter questions. But the chief gestures for his assistant to soften up. Wang Tai, don't scare the student. Relax, let's just chat. Wang King turns his gaze to him. Yes, I received it recently. There was no sender indicated on the package. The mustachioed man's face becomes interested. And what was inside? The young man lies without hesitation. Empty. Nothing was inside, but he is met with suspicion. Empty? However, the young man doesn't seem to mind. The wrapper exists, but the contents do not. He justifies his lie mentally. The black card literally vanished, so technically he isn't lying. Then, the mustachioed man decides to intimidate the young man. Since you were the last person Lei Yibing contacted, we will have to check your room, computer, and phone. It's in your best interest to cooperate with the investigation, but the young man calmly folds his arms on his chest, leaning back in his chair. Go ahead, I don't have anything anyway. Then he throws a glance at the woman who came with him. Begin. She smiles as she stands before him, adjusting her glove. Tilting her head slightly, she says, Thank you for your cooperation. Hand over your phone. The young man feels awkward. He hands her the device. There's something. The woman takes it. What's wrong? The young man blushes like a schoolboy. There's some educational content. Forget about it. You can check it. She just smiles in response. Don't worry, I will only review what is related to Lei Yibing. Then he decides to find out more. Can you tell me more details about the situation with my brother? At that moment, the old woman brings him a mug of tea. Here, have some. He gratefully accepts it. Oh, thank you. And Yuan King thinks to himself, if I don't ask, I'll arouse even more suspicion, right? Sitting down with his cup of hot tea, the man begins his story. Lei Yibing disappeared right in his room. Surveillance cameras did not record him leaving the premises. According to his roommate, Lei Yibing was lying calmly on the bed and then vanished into thin air. For 24 hours, no one could contact him, after which people turned to the police. If you want more details, call the local bureau. However, after these words, the young man's suspicions do not subside. He carefully looks at his interlocutor. I already knew all this beforehand. The information is the same as Uncle Lei told me. It seems there has been no progress in the investigation, or this guy just doesn't want to tell anything. The man takes a sip of tea. If you notice or learn anything, contact us immediately. Don't hide anything. His next words sound threatening, and his gaze becomes gloomy. Otherwise, you might be the next person to disappear. This puts the young man on edge. Thank you for the warning. But he thinks to himself, what does that mean? Is he threatening me? A noise comes from the side, and he turns around. The woman removes her gloves. The check is complete. The beauty looks at him with a smile. Her lips are bright red. This makes the young man blush. Her smirk, she definitely saw everything. The man with his assistant also get up, and he hands the young man a business card. If anything comes up, contact us anytime. Here are my contacts, and we'll be on our way. The grandmother shows her last hospitality. Let me see you out. As they leave the house, Yuan King asks, please let me know if you find out anything about my brother. The man nods. Of course. Once the door closes, the grandmother gives vent to her anxiety. What could have happened to him? He just vanished. I need to visit Bin's mother. Hearing this, the young man puts his hand to his temple. Grandma, my head hurts. I need to lie down a bit. He looks away. When grandfather returns, tell him about Bin. Let him contact uncle. His grandmother agrees against the backdrop of an apartment building. Of course, a black car is parked near the shop. Inside sits the same man, but now he's holding a glass of wine. So, Guanya, did you find anything? A white cane decorated with gold lies beside him. The girl reports to him while looking at him. Yes, and then some. Plenty of information. He frowns. Speak? The girl raises her index finger. He has gigabytes of hidden folders. He tried to camouflage them. The title, Vivo 50. Her answer visibly unnerves him. Sitting in front of him, the girl crosses her legs. The guy is obsessed with women in black tights. His training materials are overflowing with them. The recycle bin is empty, which is completely illogical. Besides that, he has a wide circle of acquaintances. He's part of various groups, but almost all of them are related to online games. There aren't any entertainment items in the room except for gaming consoles. He has a rather reclusive personality. The man disappointedly presses his hand to his forehead. Goodness? And you think these are important details? How many times have I asked you, stop snooping around other people's business and presenting it as dirty jokes. You're not a teenager. But the girl just playfully tosses her hair back. Ha 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 ha. Don't be such a stick in the mud. A well-placed joke can smooth things over. Finally, she gets to what might actually be useful. There was no helpful information on his computer or phone, but a letter from Lei Yibing was hidden under a flower pot. Lei Yibing's package definitely wasn't empty. It's very likely they hid the character card inside. We just don't know what class it is. Hearing this, he falls silent, lost in thought. He leans back in the car seat, crossing his arms and legs. The man states his decision. Tomorrow we'll go back. If the kid hasn't disappeared by then... Sunset paints the city in warm orange tones, while pink clouds adorn the sky. Birds fly high above. Yuan King sits on a chair in front of the computer screen. He wears round framed glasses and muses, clasping his hands to his mouth. If I assume that Bin's disappearance was intentional, and the other side's target is the black card, then the Security Bureau may not be the only one who suspects me. It's very likely a third party was looking for Bin. He frowns at these thoughts. My brother didn't go to the Bureau, which means he doesn't trust them. The situation is the same. I can't fully trust them either. He recalls the faces of those three men. The safest option would be to tell my cousin about this situation. In desperation, he rips off his glasses and clutches his head. I can't contact him right now. Even if I could, how do I explain this mystical disappearance of the card? What should I do? The more I think about it, the more hopeless the situation seems. Suddenly a loud knock on the door distracts him. A girl is angrily standing behind the door. You don't read messages. You don't answer calls. You blatantly ignore me, huh? Running away from problems won't solve them. Does your aunt's advice mean nothing to you? Did I buy all this clothes for nothing? Hey, say something. The young man reluctantly rises from his chair. Yes, I'm coming. But as soon as he stands up, a new wave of excruciating headache washes over him. He bends over, leaning one hand on the table and pressing the other to his forehead. His whole body trembles with the piercing sensation. Through the ringing in his ears, he hears his aunt's indignant voice. Zhang Yuan King, are you going to do something about my being offended? But the young man has no time for that right now. His head is splitting. What's happening? He closes his eyes, trying to alleviate the torment even for a moment. Meanwhile, his grandmother scolds the girl. He said his headache is worse than usual today. Don't bother him. Tell me instead how the blind date went. Are there any prospects? She, not leaving the door, waves her hand dismissively. It went great. He has his own house and apartment, but I don't like that. He's too rich. A silhouette of a young man frozen at the table is visible through the window. Suddenly his gaze focuses on something. In the mirror, he notices a point on his forehead glowing with a blue outline. What? Below the point, a loading bar filled to 90%. What is this? He pushes back his hair, peering at the mark. Wait, that pattern? It's the same black moon from the card. On my forehead, a progress bar? What will happen when it reaches 100%? The progress bar creeps upward, already 92%. He recalls the events of the day. So, the black card didn't disappear after all. It mysteriously hid inside my body and now manifested as a mark on my forehead. The young man falls into thought again, remembering the letter. Brother Bin said it was something that could change your life. So someone was hunting for the card, but my brother managed to send it to me before disappearing. The progress bar reaches 99%. This speed is frightening. Hey, wait! 100%! So fast? A notification appears. Character card loading complete. An interface unfolds before his eyes. Characteristics: name, empty, assign, race, human, class, night wanderer, level, 0, skills, none, experience, 0%, morality, 60, starting value. Never let your morality fall below 60%. You may not have had a choice before, but from now on, you must adhere to it. The young man carefully studies the screen. A system, just like in those web novels. The system requests data. Please enter character name. An electronic pencil lies next to the screen on a stand. Taking it, he pauses before the interface. The menu is primitive. I can't even interact with it properly. Humph. For a second, I thought I would get something overpowered. He enters his name Zhang Yanqing, but the system blocks the selection. Entering your real name is prohibited. This makes him think, I can't use my own name? Having made a decision, he enters another option. Then how about this? The system accepts the input. Name successfully selected. The spirit world will open in 10 seconds. Good luck, Yuanshi Tianzun. He scans the latest notifications with his eyes. A timer appears before him. The spiritual world. Will it open? The numbers change rapidly. 7. Then almost immediately 5. 4. The digits seem to grow in size. 3, and they flicker brighter and brighter. 2. They barely fit on the screen. 1. Bright pixels fly around them. The system issues a series of notifications. Spiritual world map loading complete. Welcome to Tunnel of the Night, God Yulin. N.0079. Difficulty rating, S, type, solo, deadly. Main quest 1, survive for 3 hours. Main quest 2, explore spiritual world N.0079. Current progress, 0%. Note, items from the ordinary world cannot be transferred to the spiritual world. Suddenly, everything is plunged into darkness. He slowly opens his eyes and the darkness dissipates. What the? The first thing he sees is his own hand. He tries to clench his fist and succeeds without difficulty. Checking the mobility of his limbs, he looks around. Some kind of cave. Where am I? Another notification appears before his eyes. Introduction to backstory. The Yulin Tunnel is one of 10 urban legends in Shanghai. The system begins its narration. The Yulin Tunnel was built at the end of the last century. During construction, a team of builders entered the dark, rainy tunnel one night and disappeared without a trace. They were never seen again. The Public Security Bureau organized a search that lasted several days. Only one member of that shift was found in the mountains, but the rest vanished without a trace. A new message follows. Although the worker did survive, he suffered a strange injury. His mind became clouded, and he fell into unconsciousness. No matter how hard the officers tried to interrogate him, the poor man kept repeating one phrase over and over again. A warning red notification flashes before him. Do not enter the temple. He feels gusts of wind nearby. They twist around like two snakes, chilling him with cold. Sensing something was wrong, he turns his head. He peers into the darkness. The tunnel? The very one from the urban legend? He freezes, processing the information received from the system. The young man clutches his forehead, trying to compose himself. Calm down. Is all this nonsense actually happening? I must be dreaming. No, This isn't the Yuilan Tunnel from Shanghai's 10 Great Legends. I drove past it a few days ago when returning home to pay my respects to my father. The real tunnel looks different. In reality, it's not so old. He presses one palm against the other. They tremble. My body is shaking uncontrollably. Try to remember. He crouches down. Without a doubt, this is a supernatural phenomenon. He was drawn into an urban legend to complete a task assigned by a mysterious force. A voice announced 2 goals: survive for 3 hours, and explore the spiritual world. Difficulty: S, type, solo. He frowns more deeply, pressing his finger to his lips. Survive. That means there's something to fear. And explore the spiritual world means wandering through the tunnel? In other words, is the tunnel dangerous? The young man takes a deep breath, trying to calm down. But if there's a quest, then there must be a reward. He takes a step forward in his slippers. If I believe that panel, my class is Night Wanderer. He continues on his way, no longer trembling in his legs. Level 0, not 1. So first I have to earn the class. But what about this god? From urban legends? Brother Bin was right, this map really can change your life. But I didn't pay attention to another part of the story. It's hard to deal with. So he meant the hidden danger. The young man's face becomes tense. A deadly spiritual world mode. Doesn't sound very fun. Lanterns burning along the walls begin to go out, making the cave even more eerie and dark. A figure appears before him. What the hell? Is there someone else here? The stranger approaches. He is missing toes and his skin looks charred. He wears torn, burnt clothing. Judging by his equipment, he's a miner, but his mouth is unnaturally open and his eye sockets are sunken. He's terribly gaunt, like a zombie. His skin is ripped in places and beginning to decay, and he isn't alone. There are several zombies all moving towards him. Fear pierces him as soon as he gets a better look at them. Decaying corpses? He turns around with all his might, trying to run away. Ah! A pale, thin hand reaches out to him. One of them seems to point somewhere. The dead man's eyes are open, and a red pupil is visible in them. Wenking notices one detail. Strange. They aren't chasing me? He turns his gaze in another direction, and freezes in place. There are even more of them there. Another group of zombies stands at a distance watching him. Am I surrounded? And again, the zombies seem to point in one direction with their decaying hands, as do all the others. The young man turns his head in the indicated direction and sees a tunnel before him. He looks around at the undead expecting an attack, but they stand motionless. No, they aren't attacking me? Instead, the corpses are pointing somewhere. In that direction, amidst the grass, stands a house. There, the walls of this house don't look welcoming, although at first glance the building seems intact. However, there is a feeling as if something is watching him from there, piercing his back with its crimson eye. He flees the cave, completely forgetting that he's wearing flimsy house slippers. He races forward at full speed, kicking up swirls of dust behind him, and finally bursts out of this gloomy dwelling teeming with animated corpses. On the run, he can't help but glance back, and sees a crowd of gruesome, half-decayed bodies behind him. At this sight, he picks up his pace, nearly breaking the sound barrier. The quest clearly stated, a single, deadly level quest. It would make sense if these creatures attacked me, but why did they just fall back and even show me the way? These thoughts are giving him a headache. Difficulty S, explore the spirit realm, survive for 3 hours. If I had simply hidden in the tunnel, remaining motionless, these dried-up corpses would likely have become enraged and attacked me. But they pointed the direction, either to lead me to the correct quest location or it's a trap. Though, does it even matter? Right now, the main thing is to stay as far away from the undead as possible. Fortunately, the moon in the sky shone brightly and perfectly illuminated the path he was following. However, looking around, he notices something amiss. It's too quiet. Usually at this time of year, the night forest is full of the chirping of mountain insects. He speeds along the trail winding among the trees, then climbs a path leading steeply upwards, and stops at the border where the grass ends and stone slabs begin. Without hesitation, he takes a step forward. In places, thick cobwebs are visible, clearly hanging here for more than just a day. Everywhere are fragments of things that apparently once belonged to the inhabitants of this house. Finally, he reaches an old wooden porch. Is this a temple? Wait a minute. He freezes, peering at the outlines of the building. A temple! A warning from the system flashes in his memory. If I believe that voice I heard earlier, I should stay away from the temple. He studies the tall, massive structure with his gaze. But I already escaped the tunnel. Do I really have to enter this dilapidated building? For a moment he looks around. Don't tell me those corpses deliberately led me to the temple. He presses a hand to his forehead, trying to make sense of the situation. This is bad. Very bad. There are two separate quests, but if you combine them, it turns out I have to wander around this temple for 3 hours and survive at the same time. He envisions being herded like prey, ready for slaughter. Go forward, there's a high chance of dying. Turn back, certain death. Brother Bin, is this what you meant by change your life? On the ground lies a scrap of cloth with some kind of symbol on it. I was told not to approach the temple, but the quest requires me to explore it. He begins to climb the steps one by one. All right, no risk, no reward. It turns out this wasn't an entrance to the temple itself, but to the adjacent territory. And ahead looms the temple, and strangest of all, lights are burning in the windows. There are lights on inside. Suddenly, a rustling sound comes from the grass, as if someone is stepping on it. The young man sharply turns towards the sound. Is someone coming? The grass barely stirs, either from the wind or from footsteps. He frantically tries to locate the source of the noise. Where's the sound coming from? He peers into the tall grass, straining his eyes, and freezes, expecting the worst. Usually after such strange sounds come ghosts. He feels like he physically senses these steps. He imagines footprints of an invisible stranger. Terror creeps to the tips of his hair. There really is someone there. It's terrifying. Do you want me to go inside? But fear gives him strength and determination to rush towards the temple as quickly as possible. Brother, if you've become a ghost, vent your anger on someone else. Your younger brother is not at fault. However, the steps are getting closer. He feels them in his very soul. Damn it. Panicked, he loses his vigilance and trips over a step. Arr! He tries to jump just to avoid sprawling on the ground. And in this leap, he swings open the doors of the temple with force. Practically flying inside like a mad beast, he collapses onto the floor, finding himself inside the temple, and tries to catch his breath. His gaze is fixed on the open doors, but he sees no one and hears nothing. Just in case, he listens intently. There are no more footsteps. He quickly closes the door so that no one can follow him. Calming down, he wipes sweat from his brow. Am I safe now? 4 cobweb-draped candles continue to burn. Wax slowly drips down, forming shapeless blobs. Behind him rises a large statue of some deity. And next to it, like 2 little goddess helpers. Looking at them, the young man feels lost. A strange sensation arises, as if she is looking directly at me. The main statue is exquisitely crafted. A beautiful woman in elegant clothing, with a halo above her head. Behind her is a stone slab inscribed with writing, and around it seems to swirl a scarf carved from stone. From here, the statue appears incredibly massive. He stands still for several minutes, carefully examining the sculpture. Upon closer inspection, he notices a flaw. It seems the statue should be holding something in its hand. A detail is missing. He begins to search around for the missing item, but he notices something else. Could this be information about the temple? Before him lies a stone slab covered with symbols. There are records here. The early Ming Dynasty period? That means they are over 500 years old? Suddenly a chilling cold washes over him. He turns around, no one is there, but a frightening thought occurs to him. Wait, if the temple is abandoned, then who is changing the candles in the main hall? Now he doesn't take his eyes off those burning candles. Their flames are reflected in his pupils, like in a mirror. The quiet crackling of fire and drops of wax flowing down. This once again plunges the young man into thought. A member of the work crew. Was this scene generated to fit the urban legend? Or has it always been here? If everything was original, does that mean the work crew also stumbled upon this temple, and subsequently it turned into an urban legend? He closes his eyes. Either way, I'm clearly in trouble. If I want to survive, I need to find clues. When he opens his eyes, determination shines within them. I refuse to die here. He crouches down and pushes aside a dirty cloth, and finds another body, only partially turned into a skeleton. The sight makes him nauseous, and he covers his mouth with his hand. Broken sternum and several ribs, cracks in the right shoulder, but not too severe. And it seems there's something in his pocket. Reaching into the pocket, he pulls out a yellow amulet with a red symbol. Another brother disappeared last night. This is already the 3rd apprentice who has vanished mysteriously. People are terrified. A powerful demon has appeared on Mount Sendao. He comes to the temple every night to hunt people. Master, what should we do? But the old man only scolds them. All our apprentices are skilled cultivators. What reckless demon would dare come here to profit? People pray with their hands clasped together. The master ordered us to hide everything from pilgrims, fearing it would affect temple attendance. I thought my talismans were enough to banish any ghosts. I didn't want to bother the master. The young man paints talismans by candlelight. But I have a bad feeling. Brothers have been disappearing more and more frequently lately. I need to go find our eldest brother to discuss this. 3 days have passed. During that time, 3 more disappeared, but my elder brother and I found no clues. The nights in the temple have become quieter than ever. A sinister feeling has grown in my heart. And then a note on a piece of paper. Today, the eldest brother was acting strangely. It seemed he had discovered something. I asked him, but he didn't want to answer. My brother looked very angry, in terrible spirits. I even tried to push him, but he told me to come back tomorrow. In horror, the young man runs to the master. The eldest of our brothers is gone. Master, this can't continue. The master looks at him. Come to my room after sunset. I will reveal a secret concerning 1,000 years of prosperity and decline. And the next note on a dirty piece of paper. After finishing dinner, I waited in my room for sunset. Since people started disappearing at night, I have never looked forward to darkness so much. Yuan King analyzes these notes, turning them over in his hands. Is that it? Does the story end here? Now things are getting more interesting. The deceased worker hid the temple servant's records in his pocket. I think this is an important clue. The reason for the decline of the temple on Mount Sandao isn't revealed. If I can get to the truth, will I be able to complete the second main quest? The massive shadow cast by the candlelight falls on the floor. This is all the information I found in the main hall. I need to go further. Perhaps the chances of running into danger will increase sharply. But according to the urban legend, one worker managed to survive. If I follow the trail, I might be able to get out of here. He opens the next door, steps over the threshold and looks around. Damn, it's so quiet in here. Tries to stay calm and suppress his fear. Huff. Huff. Someone must be waiting for me outside. Glances at the candles illuminating the statues. But if I stay put, I won't make any progress. Gathering his courage, he decides to continue on. I have to keep moving forward. Now he walks around the perimeter of the temple. Reaches a corner but sees only overgrown grass and broken tiles under his feet. The walls of the temple are cracked, and instead of trees, frightening dry branches protrude. Everything around is still eerily empty and deserted. He continues on through the temple grounds under the starry sky, passes by a stone arch in the shape of a circle, and notices several more bodies inside turned into skeletons. Now he looks at them with indifference as if he's gotten used to it. From the starting point to here, the entire path is littered with the construction crew. Though, can anyone really get used to such a sight? He begins to examine the remains. Almost everyone suffered terrible injuries in the shoulder area, but the shoulder bones of these skeletons are intact without a single fracture. But when he hears someone's voice, he shivers again. Help, please, Jeet. The sound comes from somewhere behind the circular arch. I beg you. Why is no one here? Help. Help. He has to urge himself to continue on once more. Damn it, any sane person would have run away from here long ago. Stop whining. It's me who needs support here. This time I heard clearly and distinctly, someone is calling for help. Slaps his forehead. Brother Bin, if I manage to get out alive, I'll send Uncle Lei all your study materials from the hidden folders. He is both angry and on the verge of tears, clenching his fists. Let him see what a dutiful son he has. Even the beautiful starry sky can't dispel the gloomy atmosphere of the temple. The cobwebs in every corner had long become part of this house. He approaches another skeleton. This one is better preserved than the others. He pushes aside the fabric of the clothing and examines the remains. Only its shoulder blades are fractured, just like the skeleton in the main hall. Is this simply a coincidence? There's something in the pocket of the clothes, too. Something lies in the pocket. He retrieves and inspects his findings. A talisman, a book, and a mirror. In his hands he holds an old talisman, a book, and a mirror, all worn by time. Suddenly the system notifies him. An item from the spirit world has been detected. He opens the data card for the talisman. Name, Banishing Talisman. Type, Consumable. Function, Exorcism of Undead. Description, a talisman created by a powerful god of night. It can perceive all yin corpse type entities. If placed on the forehead of such an entity, it will be banished. Note, can only be used once. Now the talisman has value. It could be very useful. He shifts his gaze to the side. He decides to flip through the book. Let's see what's written here. People are sitting in the temple. 2.5 years have passed since I joined Mount Sandao. In the goddess's temple, I learned to read and write. A man is telling something to a boy. The elder brother promised that as soon as the master returns to the mountain after purifying souls, he will officially accept me. Cultivation through imbuing the soul with moonlight. This is an introductory method for becoming a night priest. A flag with a symbol. A difficult time has come. With the rebellion of Prince Yan, smoke of war covers the sky. Silhouettes of soldiers and flags. The master, the strongest among the Shanghai priests, must purify the souls of the restless dead, all to prevent an invasion of Yin curse that will fall upon the common people. Wen King feels a weight in his shoulder and rubs it while continuing to read. Is this some kind of diary? It records cultivation experiences and the daily routine of the temple. The paper seems to be from the same source as the one on the corpse in the main hall. Judging by the rebellion of Prince Yan, it must be from the period of the Jingnan historical campaign. But details related to night priests are unlikely to claim historical accuracy. He immerses himself again in reading the records. Sunset. The sky finally began to dim. I heard a knock on the door and immediately opened it. The person standing before me was not the master, but my elder brother who disappeared last night. My brother, who had been gone for an entire day, suddenly returned. But instead of joy, I was struck with horror. Looking closely through the darkness, I saw that a living corpse stood before me. Its chest was crimson-stained and its heart torn out. The creature I mistook for my brother stared at me with empty eyes and muttered, "Do not trust the master." But he couldn't continue reading further. The remaining pages are torn out. What is this "do not trust the master" about? A shiver ran down his spine, causing him to tremble. Damn it, I suddenly have goosebumps. I can't stay here any longer. He holds an old hand mirror in his hand. He brings the mirror closer, trying to see anything at all, and freezes, gripped by horror. In the reflection, right next to his own face, a ghostly visage appears. That's enough to make him scream out. Kaya-ya! He slaps the talisman onto the mirror. Begone, unclean spirit. Let harsh winds drive you away, and let green mountains become an insurmountable wall. Folding his hands together, he begins to pray, swaying from side to side. Brother, forgive me, I was wrong. He looks into the mirror again, desperately hoping to see only himself there. Hopefully, the banishing talisman worked, but the reflection still shows the face of the ghost. Damn it! This creature is still behind my back. He lowers the mirror, feeling utterly defeated. His shoulder aches more and more. His hands and feet are going numb. Is the ghost draining his life force? And why did I even leave the temple? I should have stayed inside. He vividly imagined what would happen if he had stayed there. Two corpses cheering him on. Buddy, you'll soon be one of us. Young guys like dark themes, right? And he stands between them screaming, "Help!" Just then he hears something again. He begins to pray, bowing low. Damn it, problem after problem. I hear footsteps behind me again. Didn't this creature chase me even before entering the temple? Suddenly a drop of courage awakens within him and a fierce desire to fight. Bastards, just try to make me one of you. I'll kick your ghostly butts. Returning to the temple, he peers out the window and notices something in the distance. Some object emits a red glow. Looking closely, he realizes they are a pair of high-heeled red shoes. But their very position looks unnatural, as does the presence of such footwear in this place. Covering his mouth to stifle a scream of horror, he barely holds back tears. In the temple of the Ming dynasty, there are red high heels. Am I going crazy? He glances out again, and now the shoes, without any glow, simply stand on the ground. He immediately hides as they begin to move. Realizing the gravity of his situation, he sighs heavily. With trembling hands, he brings the mirror to his face. And how am I going to escape? Behind him, right at his shoulder, a ghost looms. Damn it, my shoulder hurts so much, it feels like it's about to crack. A dark entity appears on the grounds, resembling the color of cosmic abyss. The young man rushes back towards the temple, feeling the entity on his shoulder becoming heavier and heavier. I've never had such a hard time in my life. Exhausted, he manages to open the door to the temple with great effort, and collapses onto the floor as the entity begins to retreat from him. With tired eyes, he watches the ghost recede. My guess was correct. The main hall is a safe zone. He gets up, rubbing his shoulder. Whew, the pain subsides. In his head, he sums it all up. First, I managed to escape the strange shoes, and then I crawled to the main hall with a ghost on my shoulder. But if they attack at the same time, I'm finished. He slams the temple door shut. One of the important rules of horror games, stay close to a safe zone. Surely shoes and a ghost aren't the most terrifying creatures I might encounter. And that banyan tree in the backyard doesn't look like an ordinary tree either. I need to mentally prepare before going on another expedition. Unexpectedly, a system notification pops up. Main quest, 1. Survive for 3 hours. Completed. Main quest 2, explore spirit world N.0079. Progress 20%. Wen King Zhang, congratulations on completing the first main quest. Reward calculation has begun. He freezes, unable to believe his eyes. I completed a quest. The system summarizes. Item obtained, exorcism talisman, available in inventory. Experience gained, 15%. You have unlocked access to the inventory. You are granted 36 hours of rest. Countdown until the next spirit world opening. 35 hours, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds. His body begins to dissolve, disappearing from the spirit world. A few seconds later, he finds himself back in his room. I returned? Looking around, he confirms that what's happening is real. This is my room. He collapses onto the bed, exhausted. Phew, even the air feels much lighter here, but immediately jumps up. Wait a minute, where's my talisman? The system, as if reading his mind, opens a screen. Before his eyes appeared a list of 5 empty slots, one of which now held the talisman. Simply thinking about the item opened the inventory. The system works intuitively at the level of consciousness. There was no need to learn how to use it. Yuan King continued to stare at the semi-transparent screen. Indeed, everything is like in a game. His level is still 0. So, class abilities are not yet available? The young man reached for his phone. He needs to contact his cousin. He recalled the image of that mustachioed man. If you find anything out, contact us immediately. Don't even think about keeping it a secret. He reached for the table where a business card lay. If I report what happened to the investigators at the bureau, there's a high probability they'll take me for crazy and lock me up in an asylum. The young man picked up the card with the number. On the other side, his brother disappeared under mysterious circumstances. And that investigator warned me that I might disappear too. What if he knows about the spirit world? Perhaps their group is dealing with similar things. Yuan King dialed the number. It rang and was answered. Lee's voice. Hello, who is it? Holding the phone to his ear, he replied, Investigator Lee, this is Zhang Yuan King. A joyful voice responded, Oh, you managed to get out of the spirit world. Well done. Yuan King became wary. So you know... But the caller interrupted him. First of all, kid, congratulations on becoming a spirit world wanderer. That's what we call people like us. The difference is that I'm officially registered and you aren't. The young man decided to clarify. Explain what this spirit world is? The man, swirling a glass in his hand, cut him off. I can't go into details right now. If you want to know the truth, you have to make a choice. The investigator's gaze became serious. The government has 2 approaches to spirit world wanderers. You have the right to decide what suits you best. The first option is to join us and become an official wanderer. The second is to remain a lone practitioner. In that case, you only need to provide us with information about yourself and promise not to use your skills for illegal purposes. Of course, choosing the second path means don't expect support from the organization or government. Yuan King, without hesitation, confidently stated, Of course I will join the organization. I am ready to strive for the benefit of society, sparing no effort. The caller smirked. I wouldn't expect anything less from a relative of a lower-ranking officer. The man looking out the window said, Then get some rest. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 8 in the morning. Yuan King was confused. Tomorrow? I thought we would meet immediately. The investigator didn't rush. Do you know what time it is? Striving for the benefit of society is commendable, but a sensible schedule must be observed. Scratching his cheek with embarrassment, the young man admitted, Okay, by the way, I hid something from you. The package contained a map. The caller just grunted. Caution is never superfluous. Below, the city glowed with the lights of windows, merging with the twinkling of stars in the night sky. The next sunny day arrived. Exhausted, Yuan King left his room, clutching his stomach. Wow, I'm hungry. The night had been sleepless. I couldn't fall asleep. Every time I tried to close my eyes, a ghost seemed to appear behind me. His grandmother was surprised by his early awakening. You woke up so early? And his aunt curiously added, Oh my, Yuan King, you look completely drained. What were you doing all night? She headed for the door of his room without asking, I'm going to check your trash can for used tissues. Yuan King casually threw over his shoulder, Yeah, don't forget to look under the bed. His aunt entered inside, exclaiming, "Don't worry, I'll check everywhere." The young man headed towards his grandfather, who was sitting on the sofa. Yuan King sat down in an armchair. "Grandpa, do you remember when the construction crew disappeared in the Yuilin tunnel? The Bureau organized a search group and you were part of it?" The old man was surprised. "That's a very old case. Why did you suddenly remember it?" The grandson hurried to justify himself. "I came across an article on the internet." "Did the Bureau find out what happened to the workers? And what did that survivor say?" Grandpa spread his hands guiltily. "Sorry, it was so long ago I don't remember anymore." The grandson tried to remind him, reaching for a banana on the table. According to the article, that case caused panic within the police. The local chief even had to make a personal appeal. But he immediately received a scolding from his grandmother. "Hey, where are your hands going? Have you even brushed your teeth?" Yuan King glanced at her and continued, "That worker who was found also disappeared soon after." Grandpa was astonished. "Really?" The old woman approached them. "You don't remember. Your memory is failing. You told me all about it yourself, and you, Yuan Qing, go wash your face." Grandpa, remaining motionless, grumbled, "You have to believe proven facts, not rumors. The older you get, the easier it is to believe any made-up nonsense." Yuan King thoughtfully rubbed his head. He disappeared again, too. So the worker reappeared in the temple after 36 hours, and this time he didn't make it out. Keeping that thought in mind, he brushed his teeth in front of the mirror. "The second stage will be even more dangerous. If I want to survive, getting information from the organization is the best solution." Finishing, he put his toothbrush in a glass. Dressing, he grabbed a bun and headed for the exit. "I'm going out for a walk." His grandmother called after him. "Hey, finish your breakfast." The grandson replied on the move. "Sorry, I'm in a hurry." Grandpa watched him silently. A long black car pulled up to the entrance. Yuan King observed the car, hiding behind a pole. The car door opened and an invitation sounded. "Get in." The young man walked towards the vehicle. As soon as he settled into the seat, the man offered, "Would you like something to drink?" Yuan King replied, "Cola." A look of bewilderment crossed the man's face. "Then you should have bought it at the store on the way here." The young man thought to himself, "That would mean I'd have to spend my own money." The caller took a glass in his hand. "While we drive to the place where your documents will be processed, I'll give you an introductory course. Allow me to introduce myself. Li Dongzhe, Wanderer of the 3rd level, Alliance of 5 Elements, Shanghai Branch, Class Scout. From now on, we'll be colleagues." The black car sped along the road alongside the barriers. The spirit world is a supernatural space whose nature scientists still cannot explain. Despite all research and attempts to study it, we have not yet been able to understand how it works. The car was in perfect condition, which immediately caught the eye. The spirit world exists in our world and beyond its borders at the same time. Only the chosen ones can enter it, and to become one of those people. A voice rings out as the man takes a sip from his cocktail glass. "Need a map?" Before his eyes appears that very black card depicting the moon. "Yes, we call it the character card. Whoever receives it is obligated to undertake a trial mission. Succeed, and you will gain skills and traits unique to your class. The mechanism by which the spirit world chooses wanderers remains unknown. How classes are assigned is also a mystery. Sometimes cards appear inside a person directly. Others find them on the roadside, while some receive them simply by clicking a random link online. The man carefully runs his finger along the rim of the glass. Completing the trial mission is only the beginning. If a wanderer wants to level up and become stronger, they must take on new quests, repeatedly immersing themselves in the spirit world. But don't worry, assignments don't come too often, and not every scenario is life-threatening. On the contrary, you can encounter quite engaging adventures. A refined, arrogant expression settles on his face. Take me, a scout of level 3, for example. In the last 2 years, I've entered the spirit world alone only once every 3 months. Several times I found myself on the brink of death. All other incursions have been team raids. That's the essence of the spirit world, teamwork. It's much more interesting and safer. So, to gain the power you desire, you'll have to work hard. Yuan King concludes, sounds like an MMORPG. This attitude clearly pleases his companion. I love dealing with young people. You guys pick things up quickly. He refills his glass from a gold-plated bottle. Solo runs are the most dangerous. They have a high mortality rate. Team missions are better. There are worlds designated as lethal and penalty. In a penalty world, you won't die even if you fail. You simply lose experience points. The young man folds his arms and asks for clarification. Can you be more specific about just how dangerous solo worlds are? His companion begins to explain the characteristics of different classes. In team worlds, you work together with those possessing various abilities, while solo worlds are specifically tailored to your class. Scouts have their strengths, perceptiveness, tracking, and analysis. And in those solo worlds I've been in, Li Dongzi raises his glass to his lips. I had to take on the role of a detective, track down and hide from opponents, survive in the wilderness. Furthermore, all dungeons differ for each class depending on the stage of development. Yuan King ponders, placing a hand on his chin. The theme of the spirit world is tailored to my class. So Brother Bing also entered the spirit world? Li Dongzi pauses. Most likely Lei Yibing has already perished during the trial. These words strike the young man hard. Perished? Li Dongzi attempts to explain the situation. Too much time has passed. Usually, a trial in the spirit world at the transcendent stage lasts from several hours to, at worst, 2 days. We haven't heard from Lei Yibing for 4 days. The indignant young man exclaims, "What about higher stages?" His companion sighs heavily. Stages above transcendent can take much longer. The young man's mind immediately latches onto this thought. Perhaps Brother Bing has already advanced to a new stage? There's still hope that's the case. As long as I don't find Brother Bing, I should stick close to this organization. His thoughts are interrupted. By the way, before I introduce you to the others, there's one more important point. What is your morality score? Yuan King checks the data in the system. Morality, 60. Li Dongze decides to warn him. The main problem for all newcomers is their morality. If you drop the value below 60, a penalty mechanism will be triggered. All wanderers within your city will receive a quest. Eliminate you. The young man needs clarification. So I'm forbidden from doing anything bad for the rest of my life? He freezes looking at his hands. And what about manual labor and viewing educational material? Is that also considered a bad deed? Oh my God. Without waiting for an answer, the young man falls into panic. My life is over. Hearing this, Li Dongzi bursts out laughing. It seems the glass with the drink is an integral part of his diet. Don't worry. According to our calculations, such violations as theft, assault, robbery, and the like deduct 1 to 5 points. Murder, 10. If your actions resulted in multiple casualties, the calculation will depend on the specific case. As for personal affairs that don't harm others, they do not affect the morality score. Moreover, you can earn points. He smiles. Just be a good person. These words make the young man think even deeper. Is the spirit world trying to restrict its wanderers? But why? Morality and law are artificial tools for people to maintain order. The world itself doesn't need such restrictions. In other words, the spirit world isn't something natural. It doesn't exist on its own. But people still can't explain its nature. For show, he nods at the investigator. All right, I'll help grandmothers cross the road. The young man looks out the window, waiting for the end of the journey. Investigator Lee didn't explain why a morality score exists. He probably doesn't know himself. The spirit world remains a poorly understood phenomenon. The car wheels screech to a halt. We've arrived. They get out of the car. By the way, does sponsoring a young lady count as a violation of morality? The investigator leads him inside, leaning on his cane. Losing morality is just as easy as gaining it. Just don't do anything stupid. In fact, many criminal organizations of wanderers are actively involved in charity. Before the elevator, he turns to the young man. If you have money, it's very easy to raise your morality score. This allows them to take lives with impunity. Ironically, isn't it? You never know what purpose a person has for doing a good deed. Moreover, it follows that human life can be bought. The laws of the spirit world aren't much different from those of humans. He presses the elevator button. By the way, fighting other wanderers doesn't lower your morality score. Now let's talk about organizations. The one we belong to is called the Alliance of Five Elements. Within it, the Foundation consists of 5 factions. His companion lists the 5 separate parts: the 100 Flower Alliance, the White Tiger Corps, Scarlet Flame, the Palace of Water God, and the Fortress. The 5 factions represent 5 classes: Wood Demon, Scout, Fire Master, Water Ghost, and Ghoul. The young man notes, why do they have such creepy names? As the elevator moves, the investigator continues his story. Besides our alliance, there are other official organizations. I'll send you a complete list later. The Alliance of Five Elements formed only 20 years ago. Previously, everyone acted independently and couldn't boast friendly relations. This is also related to the personal qualities of representatives of each class. With irritation in his voice, he adds, for example, wood demons have an acute love for everything connected with nature. These damn Greenpeace activists are obsessed with animals and flowers. I've never met such delusional fanatics. Every time we meet, I want to stomp on plants in crocodile leather shoes. Turning to the young man, he almost shouts, and the fortress with their sense of ownership is no better. I won't even mention the water ghosts. With immense arrogance, he points at himself. Only we, scouts from the White Tiger Corps, are truly reasonable, calm, and wise wanderers. Yuan King thinks to himself, I wonder if representatives of other factions would agree with you. Now there's no stopping the investigator. The more I talk, the more it looks like a game, right? Different classes with their properties and characteristics. Fire Masters from Scarlet Flame are excellent frontline fighters. They glorify cruelty and are easily provoked. Water Ghosts have skills to control water. They're literally wizards from fantasy. Wood Demons can grow beasts and heal even terrible wounds. Representatives of the fortress have excellent defensive skills. The young man can't help but joke. So scouts are just the eyes from MOBA games? This infuriates him. If I were a Fire Master, you'd be frying on a skillet. Yuan King immediately folds his hands in apology. I apologize. The elevator continues to move. Leaning on his cane, he continues to talk about his class. As soon as we scouts overcome the transcendent stage, outstanding combat skills awaken within us. We are ideal one-on-one fighters. But when it comes to ideal classes, of course, you can't help but mention Night Wanderers. No one dares question their skill. Even we scouts have to admit, among standard classes, Night Wanderers are in a league of their own. Yuan King ponders, in a league of their own, and clarifies, can you tell me more about the Night Wanderer? As they walk down the hallway, the investigator continues explaining. Even at the initial stage of development, this class possesses immense combat power and killing skills. Furthermore, they are able to communicate with spirits, cleanse corpses, and control ghosts. Their arsenal is extremely diverse and their strength is unparalleled. His shoes gleam from cleanliness and cream. However, it's an incredibly rare class. Currently, there isn't a single representative of Night Wanderers in the Shanghai branches. One reason is that the capital sect, Tai, recruits such specialists from all over the country. He sighs sadly. If I had just one such wanderer, and suddenly remembers, oh right, he freezes and turns to his companion. I forgot to ask, what's your class? I hope you aren't a Fire Master? The young man freezes. Mine? And awkwardly averts his gaze. Well, a Night Wanderer? A pause hangs in the air. He stares intently at the young man, and then she approaches and grabs him by the shoulders. Are you a Night Wanderer? The boy is lost for words. Yes. Overjoyed, Wang Tai lifts him up in an embrace. A Night Wanderer. I really did find a Night Wanderer. Yuan King exclaims, Hey! The investigator already dreams of the future. A Night Wanderer is an incredibly valuable addition. Even the largest and most influential groups are ready to tear each other apart just to lure such a specialist. I can't believe my eyes. He turns back to the boy again. When people from Crimson Flame almost lured the Night Wanderer over, one girl from the League of 100 Flowers seduced him. She didn't even disdain sleeping with that wanderer just to recruit him for 100 Flowers and make him a double agent. I can't believe I found you, and adds, addressing an imaginary lady. Ah, come here. Now a smile doesn't leave his lips. By the way, you still haven't named your Spirit World ID. The boy calmly replies, Yuanxi Tianzun, but the investigator's face immediately darkens. He forces out a semblance of friendliness. A wonderful choice. The young man finds this strange. What's wrong with him? And immediately switches to income. I will now complete all the documents. Starting salary is $20,000 a month plus mission subsidies. In addition, we issue bonuses for special merits. Any questions? But golden coins are already dancing in Yuan King's eyes. None. They pass by people at computers. These are ordinary employees. They help us solve routine problems. In general, they make the Wanderer's job easier. The newcomer looks at them. Something like personal assistants. Wang Tai leads him further. Let's go, my office is over there. They enter inside. Make yourself comfortable, and I'll prepare the papers. We need to formalize your contract. Guanxing sits on the sofa waiting while Wang Tai fills in the details. Guanya enters them, the same girl who checked his phone at their house. Guanya, class scout, level 2, do you need help? The boy immediately recognizes the beauty and blushes. Give me the phone. I won't open personal folders. Wang Tai hands her the papers. Guanya, you're just in time. I have drawn up the contract. Brief our newcomer on the details, and I need to talk to the boss urgently. Taking the papers, the girl leans over the boy, brushing hair off his ear. I see you passed your test. By the way, do you like older women? Wang Tai leaves, saying as he goes, Guanya likes to make inappropriate jokes. You'll get used to it. And then warns the girl, and you, devilish one, be more restrained with our young colleague. He is still a university student. She playfully sits down next to him, crossing her legs. I think our dear student would like to know all the details about the spirit world. The student blushes, and the boss gives final instructions. Yes, answer all his questions. She notices his uplifted mood. Interesting, why is the boss so happy? He's walking as if floating on air, but switches back to the boy again. Well, that's not important right now. Let's fill out your contract. By the way, let me have your spirit world ID. Or you can leave your phone number and send it later. The boy doesn't lift his head. Just a moment. She smiles contentedly. The boss already gave you a basic briefing, right? Yuan King starts filling in the details. Well, he conveyed the main idea. Guanya throws her head back. There are several things you need to know. From today on, you can't use your regular passport. The organization will issue you a new one. It will be ready within 3 days. You'll still be able to buy tickets and use the train as before, but now with priority. As for the novice card, it will be issued tomorrow. He turns to her. A new passport? Then she explains. The spirit world system probably let you know that you can't use your real name. He looks at her even more attentively. Yes, is there a problem with that? In response, she points her finger. There's a reason. She describes the two sides, order and evil. We divide the classes of the spirit world into 2 categories. The first is orthodox classes, the second is dark classes. Wanderers from dark classes are usually either tyrannical and bloodthirsty or debauched and cruel, and they all share a common hobby, hunting wanderers from orthodox classes. Therefore, revealing your identity is too risky. Yuan King puts down his pencil. So, Guanya and Li Dongzhe aren't your real names? She nods. Of course. However, we are an official organization. More often they themselves become our victims than vice versa. His attention is now focused on her. Sister Guanya must be a very experienced hunter. She takes this as flirting and moves closer. Ha ha ha, you know how to pick words. Do you have a girlfriend? The boy blushes again. No, which surprises her. Oh, so pure and innocent. I was sure you were seeing someone. His thoughts about her are strange. Pure and innocent? Why is she focusing attention? With a mischievous glint in her eyes, she extends her phone to him, with a dating site open on the screen. Want Sister Guanya to arrange a love match for you? But the boy politely refuses. No, thank you. I prefer to find a girlfriend the traditional way. Her words cause her to burst into laughter. Fa ha, kid. You're starting to like me. He decides to play along. And you, Sister Guanya, are also pleasing to my eye. Hearing this, she immediately stops laughing. The girl makes another attempt at flirting. Stop flattering. You definitely have a girlfriend. But he gives her almost childlike promise. If I ever lied to Sister Guanya, let lightning strike me. Satisfied with the answer, she gets down to business. All right, let's get to the point. There are 10 detachments of wanderers throughout Kangyang territory. We are the 2nd detachment. Our team has 5 people, and with you, it will be 6. Of all the wanderers, only I and the boss belong to the White Tiger Corps. Since he recruited you specifically, after the trial period, you will also join our ranks, got it? The boy nods. Aga, the role of factions in the team is even more important than I thought. He beats his chest, assuring her of his loyalty. I rely on you, Instructor Guanya. She takes the form he filled out. Hey. I love working with energetic young people. So, you've remembered everything? Crossing her legs, She examines the data with a bored expression. 21 years old. Yuanxi Tianzun. What a pompous ID. Aren't you afraid they'll pin you to the wall for that? And class. Wanderer. Her eyebrows rise in surprise. What? The form stated Night Wanderer. Night Wanderer? She freezes for a moment, processing what she read. Finally, she exclaims in amazement, "You're a Night Wanderer." In response, Yuan King smiles contentedly and gives a thumbs up. That's right. The investigator simply radiates happiness. A Night Wanderer. Our faction will have a Night Wanderer. Now the girl understands the reason for the boss's joy. That's what he was so happy about. She reaches out and gently takes the boy by the chin. Looking at him with seductive playfulness, she says, "Well, from now on you are one of us. Just try to run off to some crazy girl from another faction, and you'll immediately feel Sister's wrath." Yuan King, completely enchanted, assures her, "Of course, I would never betray you in any of the worlds." The girl is flattered by this answer. Ha ha ha, that's good. She looks at the newcomer's data again. Level 0? Usually after passing the test, you move to level 1. Suddenly her face contorts with bewilderment. What? The application stated, Trial Yuling Tunnel. She repeats the name to herself. Yuling Tunnel? The young woman brings the papers closer to her eyes. Why this one specifically? Not believing her eyes, she turns to him. Have you been in this tunnel? Yuan King is startled by her tone. Huh? He begins frantically trying to figure out what's wrong. What's going on? Guanya suddenly became anxious. Yuan King awkwardly raises a finger. Yes, I was just about to ask a couple of questions. Since it's a trial world, there should be a guide, right? In response, he hears a heavy sigh. Ugh. Turning around, he sees a man wearing glasses. What kind of sigh was that? The man lets out the same sound again, which thoroughly unnerves Yuan King. Hey, don't sigh so sadly. Their reaction makes the man feel dizzy. Did I get myself into something big? Is my luck failing me? Have I been assigned the worst trial imaginable? At that moment, words are spoken. Wait here, I'll call the boss. The young woman heads to another office, muttering to herself, This is bad. This kid is terribly unlucky, but these words don't escape the man's ears. Sister Guanya, I can hear you. She goes to the boss. Mr. Wang Tai? Meanwhile, the man in glasses orders the rookie. Come with me. Their behavior gives him increasing cause for concern. Judging by their reaction, I've been assigned a very dangerous trial. However, at the moment of entry, I had already explored 20% of the world and determined that the main hall is a safe zone. If I think about it, I can simply hide there whenever danger appears. His colleague adjusts his glasses. There are ready-made guides available. Describing one's experience after completing a trial in the spirit world is the duty of all registered wanderers. Rewards are provided for this. He opens his laptop, but with the Yuling Tunnel, things are a little more complicated. Here, take a look. Yuan King steps closer. Uh-huh. A title appears on the screen. Shanghai Trial Database. Sitting down at the laptop, the man begins to read Ruins of Wang Village. Rank C. Task. Survive until dawn. The danger in the village comes from the ghost of a hanged man and from abandoned graves outside its borders. To avoid deadly threat, the wanderer needs to stand on their hands. However, those with weak stamina can only hope for the best. Evil spirits from the abandoned graves will enter the village en masse at midnight. Wanderers must immediately go to the store to find incense and candles. Lighting them will help avoid an attack by a swarm of ghosts. He moves on to the next item. Phantom Bride. Rank A. Task. Survive the wedding night. The Phantom Bride is a stunningly beautiful woman who will seduce the wanderer. She won't cause harm if you can satisfy her. It's extremely difficult for men to last until dawn with her. Currently, only one brave hero has successfully completed the task and survived, but he has since developed a strong aversion to women. Yuan King continues studying the examples. Shangshui Park. Rank B. Task. Lingan Reservoir. Rank B. Task. Cross the reservoir. While crossing, water ghosts will try to drag you underwater. Under no circumstances resist. If you freeze and hold your breath for 2 minutes, the water ghosts will leave on their own. Are these the trials? Supporting his head with one hand, he studies the data in more detail. With the exception of the Phantom Bride trial, all other worlds have a very high survival rate. The highest difficulty rank on this list is A. My trial has an unknown rank. But, judging by my first attempt, the difficulty resembled Wang Village. Strange. He scrolls down the page and finds the description of his trial. Yiling Tunnel. Rank. Unknown. Tasks. Unknown. The initial incident involved a construction crew that accidentally entered the spirit world during work. 12 people were caught in the trial zone, and only one survived, but he was severely injured and mentally unstable. 36 hours later, he re-entered the spirit world and never returned. Note, this spirit world is critically dangerous. Currently, there are no known cases of successfully completing the Yiling Tunnel. This information shocks the young man. So there are absolutely no survivors? A dark lace curtain opens slightly, revealing a view of the window. Red wine plays in a glass. Wang Tai lights a cigar. Settling into a leather armchair, he assesses his new find, releasing a cloud of smoke. As a young commander of the squad, I intend to gather loyal followers around me and make a name for myself. A night wanderer, with a clean reputation, is a true gift from heaven. He appeared at the perfect moment, as if the gods themselves favor me. He recalls a recent conversation. Sir, I managed to recruit a young man with the class of a night wanderer. An unknown voice praises him. Excellent work, Commander Lee. The organization will generously reward you for your merits. Wang Tai's face breaks into a satisfied smile. Heh heh heh. I can already see a bright future for our corps. At that moment, the door bursts open with a kick from Guanya. Boss, we have trouble. He doesn't miss an opportunity to reprimand her. Guanya, you are behaving vulgarly. But the young woman seems not to hear him. Our rookie has been assigned the Yiling Tunnel trial. Hearing this, Wang Tai spits out all his drink in shock. Jumping up from his chair, he presses a hand to his forehead. Yiling Tunnel? My God. He immediately rushes out of the office. I must talk to him. The young woman hurries after him. Soon he finds the dejected young man sitting at the laptop in a depressing atmosphere. Half dead, he looks up at the boss. Hey boss, am I a goner? Before answering, Wang Tai sighs heavily. He approaches the young man and puts his hand on his shoulder. For every rookie, the first trial is a solo assignment. Everyone else, like you, faces difficulties. Its essence is to test your endurance and resourcefulness. Only by proving your worth will you be able to gain supernatural abilities. Tears well up in Yuan King's eyes. Seeing this, Wang Tai tries to cheer him up. I'll send a request to senior officials. Perhaps we can find clues in the databases of larger branches. It is the only thing I can help with. And you try to remember everything you see and learn there. Now go home. I'll contact you as soon as I find out anything. Yuan King nods. Okay, boss. Then Wang gives an order. Guanya, take him. She nods. Got it. They leave the office, and then they exit the building itself. On the stairs, he turns to her. Hey, sister, do you think this is my last time? I wouldn't want to become one of those ghosts. She smiles, fixing her hair. Don't worry, I will remain loyal to you, like a widow. Get in the car. That wasn't the support the young man was expecting. But he still gets into the car and fastens his seatbelt. Through the window, she ruffles the young man's hair. Our boss will definitely find useful information, and I can only wish you good luck. He just mumbles in response. Her words sadden him. Take care of yourself, and see you later. The office building. Guanya is sitting at her desk. She's writing something in a notebook with a pencil. Yuanshi Tianzun, zodiac sign, Scorpio, energetic, high libido. There is a risk of being seduced by women from other factions. She throws the pencil onto the table, tears off a sheet of paper from the notebook. He glues it into a notebook with the inscription second row. Adjusting her hair, she turns around. Wang Tai, do you think he'll manage? The man in glasses, without turning around, says, The Tai sect possesses some information about the Yiling Tunnel. However, the chances are still extremely slim. His hairstyle looks messy, with strands sticking out. If they had a lot of information, they would have long organized a cleanup of this trial with their Night Stalkers. After all, S-rank trials always offer a high reward. Still, artifacts would increase his chances. Guanya settles more comfortably into her chair. Of course, artifacts are extremely valuable in themselves, especially for beginner stalkers. It's useful to have at least one with them, if we could get suitable equipment for him. But each artifact has a narrow functionality, and we have very little information about what items are useful in the Yiling Tunnel. The chance of picking up the necessary equipment is too small. She presses her hand to her forehead, casting a dissatisfied glance. Most likely, we'll just lose both the kid and the artifacts. Various objects flash before her eyes, from weapons to rare items. Artifacts can only be obtained in two ways. The first is to go to the spirit world. The second is to kill another stalker and take his items. To acquire someone else's artifact, it must definitely drop from their inventory. The girl continues to reason aloud. Both options are problematic. If a person dies in the spirit world, their artifacts will be lost. That's an expensive price to pay. The man types something on the keyboard. Then, adjusting his glasses, he turns to her. The Qingming festival just passed recently. It's that time of year when the Yuling Tunnel opens. Our young man is really unlucky. Hearing this, the girl sighs. Ugh, I know without you telling me. Wang Tai still sits thoughtfully in his office. He gazes at the phone screen studying a message. The text from Li Dongzhe read, Mr. Fu, I have important news regarding that new Night Stalker recruit. His first trial is the Yuling Tunnel, one of the most infamous places in the spirit world. It originated last century, when a construction crew accidentally wandered there and perished. Authorities found one survivor, but 36 hours later, he was drawn back into the tunnel. Unlike standard single-stage quests, the Yuling trial consists of 2 parts. Yao quickly types a reply. Sorry. I didn't fully investigate the situation due to excitement. When he returned the first time, it seemed to me that the guy had already passed the trial. I know that the Tai-Sex database is the most complete in the world, and its head is the strongest stalker. If you, Mr. Fu, turn to them personally, I think the Tai sect will show respect and cooperate. He freezes, not taking his eyes off the screen. He would very much like to save this Night Stalker. The last message appears on the phone. The principle of the White Tiger Corps is not to abandon its own. Since he's already in our ranks, I can't let the kid die. I hope for your help, Elder. Yuanqing stops at the threshold of his home. He enters inside looking completely exhausted. I'm back. The old woman, sweeping the floor, turns around. Oh, Yuanqing, your cousin is also here. The man walks further, muttering, The woman notices his condition. What's wrong? You look like all the juice has been squeezed out of you. But he doesn't want to worry her. I'm okay. Passing by his brother, he nods briefly. Hello. He is just having dinner. Greetings, Yuanqing. Grandma told me you were looking for me. The man sits down at the table, thinking, Yesterday's problem is solved, but even my brother can't help with this one. No, forget it. He dismisses it, but his relative tries to get to the truth. Is it related to Lei Yibing? I heard Commander Li visited you yesterday. His brother continues dinner, calmly noting, That speaks to the importance of the matter. In any case, I'm powerless here. Aunt suddenly intervenes in the conversation. Hey, brother. She holds a green box in her hands as if it were the greatest treasure. Look, this is an anti-wrinkle cream. Once in the morning, once in the evening. It should help wonderfully. She's wearing pink pajamas and bunny slippers. Grandma insisted I buy this, but this offer clearly offends his brother. Thanks, I don't need it. Suddenly, a menacing shout makes both men freeze in horror. Brat! She grabs her nephew by the ear. You don't need it, you say? Do you want me to iron out your wrinkles? You're only 30, but you look 40, even older than your own father. How are you going to find a girlfriend? She lets go of him, clenching her fist. I'm already tired of lecturing your father, so don't annoy me. Remember when Uncle Wang came last year? Your grandfather almost died of embarrassment. The awkward moment flashes before his eyes. Uncle Wang was surprised then. I didn't know you had another son, Grandpa retorted indignantly. He's my grandson. The guest just patted him on the shoulder. Oh, a grandson. Haha, he looks manly. Now he tries to end this conversation as soon as possible. Okay, Grandma, calm down. I have to go to work early tomorrow, so I'd prefer to rest. Yuanqing glances at his brother. What's the matter? His brother thoughtfully pokes his chopsticks into the salad. 2 people went missing in the Yuling Tunnel. They still haven't been found. The cameras at the entrance captured them entering, but when they checked the recordings from inside, there was no one there. He points his chopsticks at Yuanqing. Just don't blab about it. It's a secret matter. Grandma can't help herself upon hearing this. The Yuling Tunnel again? Why don't they just close it down? People are constantly disappearing there. The girl agrees, exactly. It's so scary. Her brother irritably waves his hand. Enough questions, but the girl doesn't give up. Tell me more. You know I love scary stories. In response, a categorical refusal. So you can blab? No way. Yuan King wonders. Maybe those people wandered into temple territory just like me? He sinks into his thoughts. Poor guys. It's strange to admit, but knowing that I'm not the only one going through this horror is incredibly comforting. The man rests his hand on his chin, supporting his elbow with the other. The boss said that stalkers have existed for a very long time. Probably many disappearances over the years are also related to them accidentally wandering into the spirit world. What are they like? The capital, a beautiful mansion with a black roof. Sunlight streams through the dense crown of trees. In a man's hand is a yellow fan creating a light breeze. An old man sits in a rocking chair, not letting go of the fan. A man stands next to him. Elder Song, the son of the Fu family, sent you a letter. The old man responds. Fu Qingyang, what happened? The man steps closer. His subordinate from the Shanghai branch found a Night Stalker. The young man's first trial is the Yuling Tunnel. They are asking to send copies of data on this case and, quote, want your advice. The old man slightly tightens his grip on the fan. He lazily waves it, creating a light breeze. The festival just passed recently. The dates for opening the tunnel coincide. We can expect a lively influx of Night Stalkers. It's a pity that no one manages to pass the Yuling trial. The old man's eyes are long and narrow, his face etched with wrinkles. Massive gray eyebrows and mustache give him a stern look, and a large wart stands out on his forehead. Send the files, he requests. Our sect has long abandoned attempts to pass the Yuling trial. You can lower the confidentiality level. Remind young Fu that they are dealing not just with an S-rank trial. It has already seeped beyond the spirit world. Any mistake will only worsen the situation. He closes his eyes. They want my advice? Well, here it is. Leave trying to save that Night Stalker. There's no point in helping someone who is doomed to die soon. A man nods. Yes, Elder. In my memory, an image of a person near the temple appears. S-rank, a tremendously difficult trial for a novice, but the Yuilin Tunnel stands out even among other worlds of its kind. Each one harbors something unique, a rare artifact or valuable information. A figure with a sword froze before the entrance to the temple. To clear Yuilin, the Tai sect sent 2 first-level Night Stalkers to Shanghai. This is permissible, as S-rank trials are sometimes open to novices of corresponding class. Our people prepared for this for months, and finally, one day, the tunnel opened. The man falls down dead. The outcome was sad. One of the stalkers disappeared already at the first stage. His body was pierced by a giant sprout. The second stalker managed to return, but disappeared again on his next attempt. Both fighters were excellently equipped. The elder rises from the rocking chair. From that moment on, the Tai Sect Council permanently abandoned attempts to conquer this world of spirits. He heads towards the exit. If someone manages to advance further and obtain information, it will become a breakthrough in the years-long problem. The man turns his gaze to his assistant. By the way, in a couple of days, the head of the sect is gathering all Night Stalkers in the capital. He has an important announcement. Recall your people and prepare for the meeting. He bows before the elder. You may go. Evening. Yuan King lies in bed with his hand under his head. A computer monitor flickers beside him. His eyes are closed, but memories flash through his mind. He and his aunt were playing a video game. Hey, you know this is depraved? He teases. But she just waves the joystick indignantly. Getting hooked on horror games isn't depraved. They strengthen your psyche and force you to learn monster patterns. She looks intently at the screen. Besides, you immerse yourself in the inner world of the characters. It's both captivating and relaxing. Yuan King remembers the statue of the goddess from the temple. If the spirit world resembles a game, then it must have strict rules, right? Then the corpses of the builders appear before his eyes. If I find those very patterns that my aunt was talking about, maybe I'll have at least some chance of survival. His phone vibrates. The name Guanya appears on the screen. The young man looks at the gadget. He answers the call. The girl doesn't let him get a word in edgewise. Hi, I wanted to say. Our boss sent you a file with data about the tunnel. Check your email. I know youngsters rarely check their inbox, so I decided to be safe. Yuan King sits down at the monitor. Thank you, Guanya. Please thank our boss. As soon as I return from the trial, I'll treat you to something delicious. There is indeed a notification in his email. Hello, Zhang Yuan King. New message. 1. The girl talks to him while sitting on the bed in white pajamas. Zhang Yuan King. He studies the contents of the screen. Yes? The girl's gaze becomes sad. You must pass the trial and treat me. It's a promise. He nods. Yes, Sister Guanya, I promise. Only one word comes back. Good. Dropping the call, he puts his phone on the table. Guanya settles comfortably in bed, worrying about him. We got the file from the Thai sect, but will it help? Ugh. The young man downloads the file and opens it. He begins to read, Yuilin Tunnel, Spirit World N.0079. Difficulty level, S. Type, Solo, Lethal. Main mission, 1. Survive for 3 hours. Main mission, 2. Explore the spirit world. It's exactly like on my panel. Wan King continues studying the data. The main setting of Spirit World N.0079 is not the tunnel itself, but an ancient temple from the Ming Dynasty era. It is known as the Temple of the Goddess on Mount Sundao. The statue of the goddess in the temple. I assume it was revered as a deity by all local priests. Currently, there is no confirmation of the existence of this incomparably beautiful woman in the Ming Dynasty era. Most likely, the story was constructed by the spirit world itself. Surviving the first 3 hours in the temple wasn't too difficult, however. While reading the records, I was attacked by a vengeful spirit. It sucks all life energy from its victim until it falls dead. Night Stalkers have resistance to ghostly entity effects, but I couldn't just fend off the spirit. The saving grace was a candle located in the same location. Anyone who reads the records in the temple will be cursed and become the target of relentless pursuit. The effect can only be dispelled for a short time, about 15 minutes. It should be noted that the layout of the temple consists of a main hall and 2 adjacent backyards. The candle in the main hall is a powerful artifact capable of suppressing evil energy. As long as you hide there, you are safe. But there's a problem. The effect of the candle burns fear from people's hearts. If you sit under its light for too long, you lose your sense of danger. Reckless courage in such a terrible place is fatal. Moreover, the candle cannot be moved or removed from the spirit world. After reading this, Yuan King concludes, in general, the safe zone is a double-edged sword. You can't hide in it forever. The candle forces stalkers to go further and explore the temple. After sitting in the main hall for about half an hour, I suddenly heard a cry for help coming from the east backyard. From time to time there was a chilling roar that didn't sound like any living creature. Hesitating, I decided to investigate that area. The young man doesn't take his eyes off the monitor. I already figured out that the main hall is a safe zone. However, I didn't think the protection comes from the candle. I thought the protective factor was the statue of the goddess. Bending his leg on the chair, he continues reading, the cries came from a banyan tree. I heard someone calling for help, but it wasn't that chilling roar. That banyan is incredibly dangerous. Always keep it in your field of vision. It seems the tree has its own consciousness. But why does it call for help? As for the terrible roar, I never found its source, as my attention was drawn to something else. They were a pair of red shoes. They didn't attack immediately, but instead invited me to dance. Out of curiosity, I accepted the invitation. But during the process, I couldn't remember their movements. They were too intricate and complex. For someone like me, without experience in dancing, it was an impossible task. A bloody trail on a black background. Though, I guess even an experienced dancer would find it difficult to remember all those steps. When I finally failed, the shoes began to chase me. Reading these lines, Wan King feels as if he is experiencing everything through the author's eyes. I managed to get back to the main hall, but those shoes stepped on me so hard that they broke 2 ribs. A terrifying object. Its pursuit ignores terrain and any obstacles. The shoes won't stop until their target is reached. My initial hypothesis is that this is a condition item. He swallows nervously. It's hard to believe that such an artifact is hidden in a trial world for novices. Now I understand why even Chen Shu, who had excellent equipment, died in the Sandow Temple. This is absurd. How can beginner Night Stalkers possibly pass through the Yuilin Tunnel? Is it even possible? For now, the reason for the decline of the Sandow Temple remains a mystery. Hopefully, I'll be able to successfully complete the second main mission and provide comprehensive information to our sect. He closes the file. Closing his eyes and leaning back in his chair, he begins to analyze. The vengeful spirit can be driven away by candlelight. After each expulsion, you get 15 minutes when the entity won't pursue you. The damage from the spirit isn't instantaneous. You have time before it sucks all your strength. You need to be careful with the banyan tree in the backyard. Don't turn around. Why did the stalker write that you shouldn't turn around? Can you explore the backyard while keeping the tree in sight? What will happen if the situation forces you to look away? He remembers the dry bodies of the corpses. I'm not sure if the terrible screams in the tree are related. If they are, that's another headache. By the way, so those red shoes are an artifact? Condition item. Sounds like something high-ranking. Most likely, it was the shoes that caused the death of those workers. Almost all of them had broken bones. He clasps his hands behind his head. Thanks to my uncle, I know a thing or two about dancing, but if even a first-level Night Stalker couldn't cope, then my chances are slim. It's a shame I can't ask my uncle to dance for me. He would outdance those shoes himself. For a moment, his face expresses complete despair and loss of hope, but then a spark of insight lights up in his eyes. Clutching his head, he exclaims loudly, "Wait a minute! Why did I assume I needed to be a good dancer?" The Night Stalker noted that the main difficulty was remembering the movements. For me, who constantly suffers from headaches due to perfect memory, this is not a problem at all. He shouted back, "UN King, what the heck are you yelling about?" Carefully laid bathroom tiles and thick steam from hot water. Guanya is relaxing in a bath, enveloped in steam and bubbles. Her phone rings. She answers the call, holding the receiver to her ear. "Have you read everything already?" Yuan King calls to clarify a couple of points. "Yes, sister, but there are details I didn't quite understand. What is a condition item?" Slightly moving the phone away, she explains. "In the spirit world, there are countless artifacts, and their functions vary. Our organization divides them into 3 main types. The first is a price item. The second is a condition item. I don't have access to the third type, so I can't tell you about it. It's hard to say definitively which of the first 2 types is more useful. After all, they all perform different tasks, making it difficult to fit them under one criterion. A scheme of 3 circles forms in her mind: price, condition, and question. But everyone agrees on one thing. Controlling a condition item is much more difficult. They are quite rare, so the price for them is much higher. There is only one way to take control of the second type. That is to solve its special condition and fulfill it. She pictures red shoes. The red shoes mentioned in the file most likely fall under this method. If you accept the invitation and can fulfill the condition of the shoes, you will probably gain control over them. Of course, that's not guaranteed. Many factors decide it. For example, whether they have an owner or not. However, trying to acquire a condition item, I wouldn't risk it in your place. She leans on her arm, listening to his new question. Another thing, can you bring medicine into the spirit world? She pulls one leg out of the water. Usually you can't move things other than your clothes. I think medicines will be an exception only if you take them in advance. Then the guy voices a guess. What if I just hold them in my mouth? But the answer is unclear. I cannot give a definite answer. Then he decides to himself, so I'll have to risk it, and ends the conversation. I don't have any more questions. Thank you, Guanya. She smiles hearing his voice. Be careful. By the way, the Scorpions are having a lucky day today. The opening of the spirit world portal begins in the form of a spiral. Countdown, 5 minutes. Tablets are prepared on the table, and he adjusts his clothes. He laces up his sneakers. Countdown, 1 minute, and reaches for the doorknob. He throws a few tablets into his mouth. I think that should work. A notification comes up. The spirit world is opening. Welcome to Tunnel of the Night, God Yu Lin. Spirit World N.0079. Difficulty, rank, S, type, solo, deadly. Main quest, 1. Survive for 3 hours, completed. Main quest, 2. Explore Spirit World N.0079. Progress 20%. Note, items from the ordinary world cannot be transferred to the spirit world. Good luck, Yuan King. Holding the tablets in his mouth, he teleports and appears in a place where the floor is paved with stone tiles. He surveys the view before him. I'm back. And spits out the tablets into his hand. Ugh, the plan worked. I'm a genius. With these pills, I think I can fulfill the condition of the red shoes. With a smile, he lightly tosses them in his hand, after which he puts them in his pocket. He notices the dark, starry sky. It seems that day never comes in this world, and again stands by the candles near the statue, considering this location like a game. His hand reaches for one of the candles. I can touch some items to see a description, and immediately a system description appears. Name, unfading candle. Type, consumable. Function, purification. Suppression of evil. Description, an artifact left by Sandao Shanian. It is said to be made from the fat of the Changming beast, and endowed with the ability to drive away evil spirits. Note, the candle can completely wash away your fear, which isn't always a good thing. Item cannot be moved. Yuan King concludes, indeed, touching it allows me to get information. During my first entry, I didn't dare touch the candle, so I didn't know it was an artifact. Good that they sent me the file with information. Lost in thought, he sits down on the steps. The candle can completely wash away your fear, which isn't always a good thing. The price of using it is losing your fear. But right now, I am terribly afraid and have no desire to go outside. First, you can hide in the hall. Then, explore the eastern backyard, and find out what secrets and dangers this location hides. After that, you need to find a way to overcome them. The candles, entangled in cobwebs, still burn. Each of my exits is limited by a time frame of 15 minutes. Otherwise, a vengeful spirit will immediately latch onto me. Images of tablets and shoes flash through his mind. The tablets are my trump card for passing the red shoe trial, but it's not a guaranteed solution. He sighs heavily. He managed to prepare well during this time, but he pulls his knees to his chest, wrapping his arms around them. I'm still terribly scared. Gathering his courage, Yuan King heads towards the exit. The inner courtyard has already been explored, so this time I'll go to the east. This quest throws dangers at every turn. In theory, I could constantly return to the main hall and sit there. Preparing himself, he closes his eyes. But if I just hide, I'll die of starvation. The longer I delay, the worse my condition becomes. He takes a step forward. You either stick your head out or hide it. You can't escape the knife anyway. Around him are still ruined walls and grass growing through cracks in the stone tiles. Ahead is a round arch serving as a passage. The starry sky and oppressive aura around. A bridge is even visible, under which water gurgles, flowing around stones. It's quiet for now, and Yuan King continues on his way. He approaches a huge tree with a thick trunk and spreading crown. Approaching, he immediately remembers the records. The file said that this banyan tree is extremely dangerous, but now it looks like an ordinary tree. If I study it, will that also add to my progress in exploring, right? He peers into a deep well, standing nearby. Old wells in horror games are always a bad sign. Better to avoid it. He continues on his way, glancing at the well from time to time. Suddenly, he steps on a branch, and it breaks with a dry crack. Crunch. But it's not a branch, but the bone of a fresh corpse. The deceased is wearing a blue suit, lying face down, head turned to the side. However, the guy reacts calmly to his surprise. I've seen enough corpses. They don't scare me anymore. He examines the body. The skeleton is fully preserved. Fell face down, head twisted. It looks like someone broke his neck. He sits closer to examine the details. What could have caused something like this? A cold breeze blew, rustling the grass nearby. Suddenly, a voice comes from the tree. Zhang Yuan King, Zhang Yuan King, Zhang Yuan King. Hearing his name, the young man jumps up and looks around. Zhang Yuan King. He reaches for an inner pocket of his jacket. He pulls out that old mirror. In the reflection, he sees a dark viscous substance. His fingers tremble betrayingly. Soon, the substance takes shape. It's the long hair of a ghost girl. She wears a torn kimono, and strands writhe like snakes in the wind. The ghost's face is flushed crimson. She reaches out to him. Zhang Yuan King. Come closer. At this, the young man's courage evaporates, and he flees in panic, barely holding back tears. What the heck? Is that Sadako? The famous horror movie Ghost? He flies back inside, to the building with the dilapidated roof. He presses himself against the wall. He collapses to the ground, weakly lowering his arms and head. Whew, I think I lost it. He cautiously peers outside. In that file, the Night Wanderer left a note. He mentioned not turning around, but didn't say anything about not returning. The summoning of the ghost from the well might only target those who look back. Gathering his strength again, he rises. In that case, when I return, I shouldn't be in danger, right? Hopefully, he lets his guard down for a moment. I just want to go home, but still heads back towards the same tree. Passing by the ribbed walls, he notices something. He places his hand on the surface and freezes, feeling... Wind blows through the crack, blowing inside, but immediately recoils in caution. Trembling, he watches as the doors swing open wider and the wind bursts into the building with renewed force. Air currents begin to sway the grass nearby. The young man notices this movement. He cautiously approaches and peers inside, stepping over the threshold with one foot. Look there. He goes further in. It's clearly a kitchen. Dishes, a stove, and an earthenware pot, possibly for water. A ladle lies on the table. A real ladle. He grabs it excitedly. I heard that the fluid of an innocent body can dispel evil. Embarrassed by his own thoughts, he rubs his nose. But even if I haven't met a girl, can I call myself innocent? His hands shake as he looks at them. My hands. Sometimes I give them too much leeway for sin. Grabbing the ladle, he stares intently at it, for quite a long time in complete silence, and with a snap, puts it back on the table. Snap. He passes by the table near the window, folding his arms behind his back, looks thoughtfully out the window. As they say, a note is written on a piece of paper. On the ancient path, the coolness of night, there were a lonely traveler, and turmoil in his heart. A stream of virgin fluid directed at the demon, but it did not flinch, remaining calm. Hoping that urine would drive away the unclean spirit, he only wasted his mind and strength in vain. It turned out to be just a futile illusion. True salvation lies in the heart of man. He crumples the paper with embarrassment. Wet, moonlight and starlight stream through the wooden window bars. Yuan King clutches a knife and stick in his hands. The first house, probably used for psychological comfort. He exits the building with them, carefully looks around, shelves filled with various weapons. The second house, a classic armory. Seeing this, he immediately throws away the stick and knife. Sorry, but I don't need you anymore. On the stone floor are laid weapons. Axes, knives, swords, and a bow. Considering the records found, it is quite expected that there is an armory on the temple grounds. He also finds a couple of new bodies. Huh? This skeleton still has flesh left. A zombie or something? But where from? This makes him think. There are two possible reasons. The first is artificial embalming. The second is natural formation. Sitting down beside it, Yuan King takes hold of its clothing. The first option can be ruled out immediately. As for the second, bodies are usually preserved like this in arid regions. The local climate clearly doesn't suit. There are almost no obvious wounds on his body, and the bones were not broken. Pushing aside the fabric, he still finds a wound. The only clue is 2 holes in the neck area. Looks like he was bitten by a large beast, but why did the body dry out? But suddenly he feels something. He grabs the spear lying nearby, and sharply turns towards the entrance. In his other hand, he takes a dagger. What was that noise? He freezes, crouching down, carefully peeks out from behind the door, squints through the wooden lattice inside, and they're exquisitely carved wooden coffins with intricate patterns. They are incredibly well made. And next to them, the bodies of the construction crew. Near one of them, something gilded glitters. Is something lying near the hand of that corpse? Yuan King makes a guess. Is it a knife? He examines the find carefully. It looks like a Buddhist ceremonial tool. A statue flashes in his memory, and he instantly realizes, here it is, the missing detail she was supposed to hold in her hands. Suddenly, the silence is broken by a strange noise. The sound comes from one of the coffins standing nearby. The lid shifts, and a pale, clawed hand appears from the darkness. Horrified, the young man recoils towards the window, trying not to be seen. Damn it! A deafening clap rings out, the lid crashes to the floor, and something rises from the coffin. Before him is a corpse in rags, but clearly alive, with fangs like a snake. It's a jiangshi, a special type of zombie from Chinese mythology, often called jumping vampires. Freezing with the spear in his hands, Yuan King realizes, I've been wandering around here for too long. It's time to return to the main hall. He looks around, and chilling horror freezes his gaze. Right in front of him is the face of a vengeful spirit with an open mouth and bright red eyes. The spirit has already settled on his shoulder. Desperate, the young man almost cries, Oh, come on! Are you saying 15 minutes have already passed? Disgruntled, he trudges back, carrying the unwelcome guest on his shoulders. Meanwhile, the jiangshi sniffs the air. He smells the young man, opening his mouth wide, and turns his burning red eyes towards him. The creature's gaze is filled with a hunger that cannot be hidden. Tears stream down the young man's cheeks. Damn it, I just want to go home. Grandma, uncle, aunt, anyone, get me out of here. And the vengeful spirit continues to follow him, smiling contentedly. Suddenly, the window in the building shatters with a crash. This does not escape Yuan King's attention. Pale, decaying legs slowly appear from the hut. The creature's eyes glow green. Yuan King freezes, watching what is happening. The jiangshi descends the stairs, emerging from a cloud of dust. The young man immediately runs for his life. The jiangshi assumes the pose of a runner on the starting line, arms lowered to the ground and spread apart, legs bent. What's this posture? Are you a professional athlete? The creature suddenly bursts forward and races straight towards him. What the hell? It's a walking corpse. Why is it running so fast? Can zombies be so agile? Yuan King tries his best to distance himself from the pursuer. This is getting out of hand. While running, a terrible truth dawns on him. Shit, I can't outrun it. Shh. He brakes sharply, raising a cloud of dust, and turns to face the pursuer. Swinging his spear, he lunges forward, directing the tip straight at the rushing monster. The tip pierces the creature's chest, and the other end of the shaft hits the stone tile, splitting it. This stops the Zhangshi, and it looms over the young man, towering above him like a rock. Yuan King notices a hole in his chest next to where the spear pierced. Did it rip out its heart? Wait, is this the older brother that the monk mentioned in the records? The corpse lets out a furious howl, opening its maw wide. The creature attempts to reach the boy. The pressure is so great that the spear begins to bend, and at one point, it simply snaps in half under the monstrous force. Yuan King manages to jump back, and the Zhangshi collapses before him, crushing stone slabs beneath it. The boy immediately takes advantage of the moment, goes behind the corpse, and swings his dagger. He delivers a slashing blow, but fails, damn! During the swing, he accidentally cuts himself on the blade, and the monster's neck remains unharmed. I couldn't cut through steel skin? Flashes through his mind, but the Zhangshi doesn't waste time and attacks. A clawed paw reaches for the young man, leaving a deep gash. The corpse knocks the boy to the ground, emitting a guttural roar. Roar. It looms over him, ostentatiously baring its sharp fangs. In terror, the youth manages to shout, "Exorcising talisman!" And in his hand, directly from his inventory, a magical scroll materializes. Noticing the yellow glow, the Zhangshi recoils in fear and jumps high into the air, then retreats even further, increasing the distance. Holding the talisman before him, the boy tries to regain his composure. It worked. It has intelligence since it recognizes the danger of the talisman. Now all that remains is to pray that a ghost from the well doesn't appear here, and my mischievous spirit companion on my shoulder. We're almost friends now, so drain my energy slowly. The corpse roars fiercely, not taking its eyes off the victim it can't yet reach. The youth feels like a true exorcist. Depart in fear before the talisman, unclean soul. The talisman continues to glow brightly and warmly in his hand. The corpse freezes in place, unwilling to risk approaching the prey. Then Yuan King breaks away from the spot and rushes back towards the temple where safety awaits him. The vengeful spirit begins to gradually separate from his body, and as soon as the boy steps over the threshold of the temple, the entity completely disappears from his shoulder. He confidently crosses the threshold and firmly stands on safe ground. Only one thought pulses in his head. Saved. The doors of the temple slam shut with a dull thud. Yuan King presses his hand to the wound. Dropping his bloody jacket onto the floor, he walks inside and looks at his trembling, blood-stained palm. Zombie claws surely contain corpse poison, and I have neither medicine nor disinfectant. With annoyance, he wipes his face with his hand. I hope I don't die from infection. The youth stops before the statue. However, I hardly feel any anxiety. His gaze falls on the burning candles. So, the effect of the candle has begun to take hold. He sits down on the floor, leaning his back against the altar where the candles stand. Now that a monster has bitten me, there's no time to waste. I'll move straight to the second stage. Red women's shoes flash in his memory. Bringing his hand to his chin, he begins to consider a plan of action. Since I can use artifacts as game items then, that rule applies to the shoes too. Besides, Guan Ya said that if you fulfill the condition of the artifact, there is a chance to subdue it. Yuan King's gaze becomes focused. Considering the agility of that zombie, it's unlikely I'll be able to stick an exorcising talisman on its forehead alone. He mentally pictures the monster before him. Most likely everything will turn out exactly like this. A second later, and he's already running away from the creature, clutching the talisman in his hands. Leave me alone. Trying to glue a piece of paper onto the head of a devilishly agile and intelligent yin monster is like a child with a knife attacking an adult. A candle continues to burn nearby, crackling with flame. Lowering his head, he freezes and closes his eyes. Yuan King rises from the floor, and yet, despite the infection, I feel more confident. He retrieves some medicine. Yuan King confidently exits the temple. If I sit it out, I'll just die. Who, if not me, should walk into this hell? The boy shouts loudly, "Hey, shoes, show yourselves!" He freezes, waiting for the artifact to appear. Just then, he hears the sound of heels clicking on the floor. Click-clack. The tapping intensifies, as if the shoes are walking towards him on their own. Clack-clack. And before the entrance to the temple appear those very red shoes. Yuan King turns around. He sees them literally floating in the air. Wow, they appeared right between me and the main hall. Did they decide to cut off my retreat? Changing his stance, the shoes speak. Do you not wish to dance with me? Yuan King confirms his guess. As expected, they are offering a dance. How terrifying. In thought, he appeals to the spirit of his father. Father, bless me for a successful entry into brain overload. Focusing, he closes his eyes. And opening them again, he seems to radiate green light full of confidence. Before him, as if a new world opens up, filled with precise sensations. The shoes stand before him, tapping and demonstrating dance moves. Finally, they freeze, stopping on the floor. A voice sounds again. Your turn. Yuan King reconstructs all the movements he just saw in his mind. Placing his hand to his chest, he bows at the beginning of the dance. Everything will be decided by this one dance. Yuan King skillfully begins to repeat the movements, extending one arm upwards with 2 fingers and tucking the other behind his back. Then he spreads his legs apart and clasps his hands in front of him. Good thing no one is watching me besides these red shoes. He leaves one hand on his groin and makes a lunge forward with the other. Otherwise my dignity would be lost forever, and completes everything with a beautiful bow. Thin streaks of blood begin to flow from his nose, but Yuan King still holds on, looking at the shoes awaiting an answer, and the shoes begin to disintegrate before his eyes. What a terrible dance. A system notification appears above them. Congratulations. You have successfully performed a paired dance with the red shoes. However, since the shoes rated your dancing skills low, they will only be under your control for half an hour. Exhausted, Yuan King falls onto his back. Ka! With a trembling hand, he takes out medicine and swallows it. You can see his Adam's apple twitch. He immediately feels better. I did it! I survived! The system notifies him of a new collected artifact. Name, red shoes. Type, footwear. Functions, pursuit, murder. Background, their former owner was a princess from the Western Kingdom. The girl was incredibly beautiful and danced masterfully. All the men in those lands dreamed of marrying her. Yuan Xing imagines a beautiful girl in a luxurious dress with those very shoes on her feet. However, an evil stepmother envied her talent and beauty. She locked the princess in a high tower, and the lonely girl danced in the cold moonlight until she finally died. The silhouette of a girl dances against the backdrop of the tower clock, and these red shoes are now firmly associated with blood. They inherited their owner's last wish, to wander endlessly and enjoy a solitary dance. The notification reveals all the artifact's capabilities. Application 1. Throw the red shoes at a target that can be pre-marked with blood, hair, or other samples. The shoes will begin to relentlessly pursue the victim, trying to eliminate them, ignoring any physical obstacles. It is impossible to destroy the shoes until the target dies or dances with them. Application 2. By wearing the red shoes, you significantly increase agility and evasion skills. You can run without noticing the terrain and without wasting physical energy. However, they can only be worn for 5 minutes. If you exceed the limit, you will not be able to take off the shoes. You will have to run in them for the rest of your life or until you lose your legs. Note, may I invite you to a dance? A dance to the death. How lovely. Yuan King is amazed. The functions of the artifact are simply incredible. The shoes can ignore any obstacles. So this is what a conditional item is. True balance. However, he soon sighs sadly. Ugh, it's a pity my skills were only enough for half an hour. But he quickly cheers up. However, that's more than enough. Yuan King puts on the red shoes and, trembling, tries to stand on his feet. Only after some time, getting used to them, does he find firm footing. The young man heads towards the hut where wooden coffins stand. There are still 2 corpses lying there, and next to them, a ritual knife. The bodies, coffin, and weapon are all still in place, but the monster is nowhere to be seen. Did it return to the coffin? Yuan King hesitates to enter, fearing a trap. I can't see anything from here, but the monster is already watching him from the roof of the building. The creature jumps down, intending to attack. Usually in games, mobs return to their starting position if you run far enough. Strange? Suddenly the young man feels a strange smell, and sharply turns towards the source of the stench. And there, extending a clawed hand, the monster is already rushing towards him. Its mouth is gaping open, and its eyes are blazing with green fire. The shoes instantly react, sparking. They carry Yuan King away. The monster crashes into the floor with a roar, crushing stones and raising a cloud of dust. Just as sharply they break, sliding heels on the ground. The young man barely manages to keep his balance at such speed. This maneuver infuriates the undead even more, and it lets out a furious howl. And then he swiftly rushes towards the man, moving in a zigzag pattern. But the shoes react faster. They easily evade the attack, striking Yuan King with their agility. And this clearly confuses the monster as well. From the next blow, the shoes dodge, forcing the man into a split. which he was certainly not prepared for and may have even suffered some damage. Darn, they might just burst. Just as quickly, the shoes bring his legs together, restoring a stable position. Hey, slow down a bit, but it's already too late. The shoes powerfully push off the ground, crumbling the tiles beneath them, and fly into attack, aiming directly at the undead's hideous face and presenting red socks forward. The corpse, caught off guard, falls onto its back. Meanwhile, Yuan King prepares an exorcism talisman. Noticing it, the monster is once again horrified. The young man is already preparing to affix the talisman to its forehead. With a sharp movement, he sticks the burning talisman to the enemy's head. Forming a special seal with his fingers, he prepares to banish the evil spirit. The demon's body freezes, bound by the magic of the talisman, and the young man finally exhales in relief. He carefully examines it, making sure the corpse isn't going to attack again. Only then does he remember his unsuccessful split. He cries out in pain, clutching the injured area. Finally, silence descends. He casually wipes sweat from his forehead. Phew. Okay, at least the Jiangshi is finished. I probably wouldn't have managed without the help of the red shoes. The hero shifts his gaze to the side. What's next on the list? To a brick well standing nearby. A female ghost. But before that, he turns away. He needs to do something first. He returns to the knife that lay among the bodies of the builders, carefully picks up this elegant item. Bringing the find close to his face, he examines it attentively. The blade is covered with numerous symbols and whimsical patterns. The system immediately provides information. Name, Demon Conquest Pestle. Type, Weapon. Functions, Purification, Undead Destruction. Description, an artifact containing the divine power of the sun. A sworn enemy of all evil spirits. By sacrificing life energy to this pestle, one can gain the power of the sun god. Note, power at the cost of your own life. Now he looks at the blade differently, with caution and understanding. He knew it was an artifact. He envisions the man who tried to use this knife. The predecessor must have planned to use the weapon against the Jiangshi. And then, how the red shoes delivered a crushing blow. Alas, the unfortunate fellow couldn't tame the cursed item and suffered severe injuries. It all ended with death from a fatal wound, and after that, a fateful encounter with the Jiangshi monster. Clutching the knife in his hand, he heads towards the well where the female ghost resides. I have about 5 minutes before a vengeful spirit appears on my shoulder. I need to deal with the ghost quickly. Peering inside, he sees nothing but water. What? Frantically recalling memories, he tries to understand where she is. I clearly remember seeing the ghost emerge from the well last time. His hand tightens its grip on the knife handle. He slowly shifts his gaze to the side, examines the tree, or rather, its crown. 15 minutes are running out. He'll have to return to the main hall. And so he is back in the temple, sitting by the candles, pressing his wounded hand. The effect of the corpse poison intensifies. I'm already feeling it becoming difficult to breathe. His head grows heavy. Thoughts become confused. Time is running out. Reflecting, he turns to the statue of the goddess. I explored 2 back extensions and neutralized the Jiangshi. However, the quest is still not completed, so there must be something else. But I've already been in every room, even checked the well. His gaze becomes more serious. Where is the unexplored area? He runs through the places he has already visited. The backyard has been checked 100%. The same red shoes are still on his feet. There remains only... His gaze falls on the candles in the statue, the main hall, and especially on the goddess's empty hand, of course. A thought immediately comes to mind about the knife. I must place the Demon Conquest pestle there. Carefully, he climbs onto the statue towards its outstretched palm, and places the pestle in her hand. It fits perfectly into the recess. He easily jumps back down to the ever-burning candles. Suddenly, the statue begins to crack deeply. He immediately notices this. The statue collapses into huge fragments right before his eyes. A smile appears on his face. He has solved a new riddle. He guessed it. A secret passage opens before him. The archway is decorated with various symbols and signs. But first, he will have to clear the rubble of the statue that blocked the entrance. He starts with this very task. Casting stones aside one by one, he clears his path. It turns out he was looking for a knife among the debris, the same one he had placed in the goddess's hand earlier. Yuan King pauses before the cave entrance. It must be here that I can discover why the temple fell into decline. He examines the knife in his hand again. The object contains divine power of the sun. However, it requires a sacrifice of life energy. If this is the power of the sun, then surely it should dispel the darkness, right? He recalls the description of the knife. A note about the artifact causes slight anxiety. Yuan King firmly grips the hilt. However, I am confident that this blade will be the key to solving the mystery, he thinks. The clues are too obvious. I simply have no choice. Without hesitation, he forcefully plunges the ritual knife into his leg all the way to the blood. From the wound, mixed with blood, a strange yellow glow begins to seep out. Light envelops the young man's hand, as if summoning an unknown power. A moment later, his eyes flash with bright yellow light. Looking into the darkness, he finally understands. The artifact did not dispel the gloom, but endowed him with the ability to see through it. Yun King listens to his sensations. His condition has recovered. There is no more internal pain or heaviness in his chest. The only discomfort is the bleeding wound. He examines his hand, which was previously poisoned by the monster. It seems I managed to neutralize the poison, he muses. I had to make a sacrifice, but it was worth it. Preparing to concentrate, the young man closes his eyes, and when he opens them again, the light in his eyes becomes even brighter. With his new vision, he carefully studies the tunnel. Artificial carvings on the walls, he notes. This passage was not created by nature. A glimmer of light appears in the distance. Could it be that at the end of the path lies the answer? Suddenly, a voice reaches him from the depths of the light. Help me! Yuan King freezes, listening intently. The sound comes from ahead. The source of the light is still far away, but it seems to be getting closer with each passing second. And closer, what opens before his eyes causes only disgust. A huge tree, its trunk covered with the faces of unfortunate people, and a staircase leading upwards blocks his path. The faces on the bark writhe, begging for help. Help! Help me! Save me! They cry bloody tears and their pupils are crimson. Someone, I beg you, save us. It has been so long since a living soul stepped here. One of the faces looking at him bursts into tears, but the tree itself seems alive. It slowly moves, hiding and absorbing the pleading face, until it almost completely disappears into the bark. Now it is impossible to even guess that hidden within are faces full of pain and sorrow. Yuan King does not take his eyes off the giant. Who are you? He asks. The trunk responds, A face appears on the bark. Just a tree. Yuan King hardly believes what he hears. Did you kill the temple disciples? He clarifies. The wooden face remains calm. No, not I. At the very roots below, something lies, something red. It was done by the mistress of Mount Sandao, it says. The young man freezes in thought. The mistress of the mountain? He remembers the statue of the woman, that same night goddess who ascended back in the Ming dynasty. But why would a divine being kill ordinary disciples? The tree, as if reading his thoughts, continues. The era of Dharma is coming to an end. It has become difficult for followers to achieve breakthroughs. In order to obtain immortality, the mistress of the mountain embarked on the path of demons. There was a tomb where the woman rested. She sealed herself in stone, using the banyan tree to imprison evil spirits, all so that yin would nourish yang, and her primordial spirit would not fade away. A purple mark adorned the woman's forehead. The powerful night goddess was able to absorb souls to strengthen herself. The tree continued its tale. The banyan had absorbed too many souls, consuming their will, and over time birthed a spiritual mind. This mind is me. It feels as if the spirit of a goddess gazes down at it from the crown of the tree. For years, people mistakenly wandered here and found their doom. I have absorbed the hatred of vengeful spirits and waited all this time for someone who could end the fallen goddess. The young man presses a finger to his lips, freezing in place. The situation suspiciously resembles triggering a quest from an NPC. However, his gaze is fixed forward. What do I need to do? The tree gives instructions. Open the stone sarcophagus and pierce the heart of the mountain's mistress. Only then can you put an end to everything. Then it mentions a ritual knife. The weapon you found seals half of her yang soul. Piercing her heart with it will seal the remaining part. The young man continues to listen intently. Without the yang soul protecting her body, her flesh will immediately decay. Then you can leave here unharmed. The tree bends its branches towards the stone sarcophagus. Why do you hesitate, child? He remains silent for several minutes, and then raises a confident gaze. Clutching the knife, he stands before the talking giant. I have a question. Are you, by any chance, the high priest of the temple? The tree studies him carefully. The temple's high priest was the first to be consumed by the mountain mistress. It looms over the sarcophagus like a guardian. First he became a puppet, and later, nourishment. If you still harbor doubts, go and open the sarcophagus to see for yourself. The young man insists, then help me open it, but receives a refusal in return. I am just a tree. I cannot help you. His burning eyes are fixed on the trunk, and partly on the sarcophagus. Can't or won't. The high priest of the temple lies within, doesn't he? The face on the bark freezes. And you are his protector or his soul? Yuan King recalls the records read in the temple. There are inconsistencies in your story. First, the mountain goddess Sandao ascended during the Ming dynasty, and only after that did local residents build a temple in her honor. And the disappearance of the disciples occurred during the reign of Yongle. There is a difference of 50 to 60 years between these events, 1 or 2 generations. Second, information from the main hall indicates that the mountain goddess Sandao is a righteous figure, and the so-called fall to the demonic path you speak of is merely a one-sided claim. He states this confidently, without a hint of doubt. And finally, the most important detail from a disciple's notes: do not trust the master. I think that's a clear hint as to who the real villain is here. The tree listens to him without interrupting. Now I understand why the master sought to kill the temple disciples, and only then begins to justify itself. Your caution is unfounded. From the beginning, I had no ill intentions towards you. I do not wish to harm you. The young man clarifies, don't wish or can't. He doesn't rush to approach closer. By the way, let me guess. Your favorite way to kill people is to break their necks. That method must be related to techniques that enslave the mind. Yuan King remembers the ghost of the woman by the well. Yuan King, come here. The face on the bark becomes slightly more tense. The young man smirks. Ha, you're getting nervous. He continues to reason aloud. That night, wanderer, they sent ahead of me clearly pointed out 2 things. The banyan tree is very dangerous and don't look back. He delved into researching the old well, but found nothing because there was no problem with the well itself. The problem lies with you. Moreover, the female ghost uses my real name, Yuan King, although I indicated Yuanshi Tianzun in the system. This confirms the hypothesis that a mind-controlling technique is involved affecting my brain. He hides his weapon behind his back. You're having a polite conversation with me because your illusory technique no longer works, right? After all, I now have a divine pestle that grants immunity to illusions. Yuan King takes a step forward. By luring me here, you hope to kill me by deception. And since illusions are useless, you want to switch to physical attack. Raising the knife, he strikes the bark of the tree. The blade plunges deep into the wood. The blade flares with flame. Fire begins to spread rapidly. Branches before him begin to part, until the path is clear. The tree flies into a rage. Enough! Since you refuse to listen, the young man has no intention of retreating. Then just die. Roots burst from the ground, heaving the soil, and rush towards the young man in attack. Red shoes deftly lead him away from the swift assault. At that moment, one of the sprouts bends, trying to strike from behind, but he skillfully dodges this attack as well, guided by the magic of his shoes. In response, the tree summons even more roots, preparing for a new attack. They twist and turn like snakes, striving to catch and wound the young man, but he dances, like a seasoned professional, avoiding each strike from the malicious tree. The battle continues in an endless cycle of attacks and evasions, until, amidst the tangle of branches, he misses the most important thing, the base of the tree. Its solid trunk is covered with rough bark. Squatting low, Yuan King prepares to lunge. With a powerful push, he surges forward into the gap between the branches, flying through them directly towards the trunk, which gazes down at him serenely. Suddenly, an obstacle appears before him. A new branch, guk, but he brushes it aside. Yuan King plunges his knife straight into the bark, and it instantly bursts into yellow flames. Sensing this divine fire, the tree recoils in a grimace of pain. Ka-ah-ah! The bark cracks and begins to splinter, and the young man continues his attack. Jumping higher, he raises the knife above his head, preparing for another strike, and drives the blade directly into the wooden face, right between the eyes. The tree is illuminated by a bright yellow glow. It screams like a wild beast or even roars, grayayaya. Shielding his eyes from the blinding light, the young man closes them tightly. And then souls of unfortunate victims begin to emerge from the malicious tree. Pain and suffering are frozen on their faces. Then they vanish, dissolving into the air. Only then does Yuan Xing open his eyes to see the result of his attack, and promptly remembers he needs to deactivate the shoes. The footwear begins to disappear from his feet, dissolving into space. Deactivation. Slightly bending over, Yuan King catches his breath. Whew! He barely made it before the limit. He turns his gaze towards the cursed tree. It has become quiet and peaceful all around, and so... Is it all over? A system notification appears. Ding. Congratulations on completing the S-rank trial mission. Character card unlocked, reward being distributed, experience progress 100%. You have become a night wanderer. Experience progress 20%. The system also mentions artifacts. Item obtained, Demon Conquest Pestle. Character card reward activated. Item obtained, red shoes. And finally, he sees the long-awaited message. Exit from the spirit world in 5 minutes. Now he breathes a sigh of relief. Raising his arms above his head, he loudly celebrates his victory. I did it! I made it! He jumps like a child near the now lifeless tree. Thus the trial that no one could pass for decades was officially completed today. Soon he calms down and, assuming the lotus position, freezes in anticipation. The very dark moon flashes on his forehead, and the wounds received during the trial instantly heal. It seemed it wasn't human regeneration at all. He opens his eyes and violet light emanates from them. Satisfied, he stretches, or rather his spirit stretches. What a pleasant sensation. Turning around, he freezes. And only a moment later does he notice his physical body lying on the floor. What the heck? He examines his ghostly hands while his real body drools on the floor. Am I floating in the air? Have I died? Realizing what's happening, he panics. Ha! Ah! Suddenly, he returns to his body and jumps up sharply. Terrified to death, he freezes. Phew! It seemed like I was already a corpse. He decides to check his stats by summoning the system. Let's take a look. Character. Name. Wen Shi Tianzun. Race. Human. Class. Night Wanderer. Level 1. Skills. Night Patrol. Spirit Devouring. Sun Spirit. Experience 20%. Morality 60. Night Patrol. Active. Envelops the owner with the power of the sun, allowing them to enter a night patrol state. During skill activation, the character becomes briefly invisible and conceals their own smell, breath, masks, sounds, and heat emanating from the body. Time limit 6 seconds. Squatting down, he continues studying the description. Spirit Devouring, active. Absorbs souls to enhance spiritual power. Sun Spirit, passive. The Night Wanderer's body is strong, possesses vigorous life energy, and a powerful ability to self-heal. In the darkness of night, all abilities of the Night Wanderer receive significant amplification. Level 1, I have finally unlocked my class. Noticing an icon of red shoes on the screen, he notes that their usage time has been reset. So, I managed to completely subdue this artifact. He even does a little warm-up, checking his condition. His body feels incredibly light and all wounds are healed. With a haughty look, he turns towards the tree, or rather, towards the stone sarcophagus beneath it. Lost in thought, he brings a finger to his chin. Mission progress reached 100%. So the tree was the guardian of the temple. Then, is the stone sarcophagus empty? With a sly smile, he looks at it. I still have some time left, and my curiosity is simply overwhelming. He's preparing an artifact, just in case. Red shoes are on his feet once more. Armed with a box cutter and enhanced by the artifact, he heads towards the coffin. With these shoes, things will be calmer. With the box cutter, he cuts away interfering branches and roots of the tree, clearing a path to the red stone coffin. He forcefully slides the coffin lid aside. It crashes to the ground with a thud. The young man peers inside with admiration. Let me take a look. And there, in the silence, lies a beautiful brunette dressed in expensive clothes. Her hands are folded on her chest and a strange mark is visible on her forehead. Her face expresses serenity, and it's impossible to tell if she's alive or dead. Goddess of the temple? She rests peacefully on a soft cushion. The young man gasps for breath. He remembers the words of the tree. There lies the mistress of the mountain. Yuan King Tianzun once again falls into thought. Could the tree have spoken the truth? He begins to walk in circles, thinking aloud. No, unlikely. If the mission is 100% complete, then I was right in my conclusions. Probably. Or is the corpse of the mistress of the mountain some kind of hidden mission? He stares at his hands in horror. Damn hands, I've spoiled you too much. I shouldn't have come here. Overwhelmed with regret, he sits down beside it and begins to tremble. It's over for me. It's over for me. It's over for me. His head spins with speculation. If the coffin contains the body of the goddess, then there must be a deeper plot to this trial. Perhaps I was just lucky enough to avoid a number of negative chain reactions until now. With a guilty smile, he rubs the back of his head and approaches the coffin. What if I just close the lid? Pretend I didn't see anything. But he notices something in her slightly parted lips. He leans forward, peering into the darkness. What is it? He glances hesitantly at his palm, realizing that he's quite capable of reaching the find. He swallows viscous saliva, feeling a mixture of impatience and sticky fear rise within him. He reaches out to the girl, intending to extract the mysterious object. Carefully grasping her chin, he gently pries open her lips. Inside, he discovers a golden pebble radiating a soft but bright glow. A system window immediately appears before his eyes. Title, Crystal of Spiritual Essence. Type, Consumable Item. Functions, none. Description, a soul crystal purified by the power of an ancient god and filled with colossal energy. This additive is the dream of every night wanderer. The girl remains motionless like a porcelain doll. A system note reads, "The mountain goddess has already cleansed the crystal of all impurities, so it can be used without fear." Without much deliberation, he assesses the situation and makes a final decision. With 2 fingers, he carefully extracts the crystal. Immediately, the artifact flashes and a stream of light penetrates directly into his forehead. His body is filled with a powerful surge of energy. Experience progress reached 22%. The duration of the night patrol skill increased by 3 seconds, totaling 9. Goodness flashes through his mind. Even without system notifications, I can feel myself getting stronger. He feels like a true superhero. It seems he's now capable of defeating an entire crowd of enemies. Returning to reality, he clears his throat softly, ahem. Then he bows to the goddess. "Respected one, please rest in peace. From now on, for every holiday, I will burn 2 kilograms of yellow paper in your honor." He returns the coffin lid to its place. Countdown until return. 10, 9. Yuan King even feels relieved. Phew! It seems nothing will prevent me from going home now. But suddenly he hears something. What is that noise? The coffin behind him jolts slightly and creaks open. A woman's hand emerges from the darkness. She grips the edge of the lid tightly. The goddess rises from her final resting place. The young man freezes, widening his eyes in astonishment. The girl has regained consciousness, and she doesn't look like a revived corpse or demon at all. She gives him a heavy, serious look. This instantly makes him blush. He loses the power of speech, and his face reflects a mixture of shame and bewilderment. The girl continues to study him intently, and then she stops before him, smiling faintly. This sends shivers down the young man's spine. The corpse came back to life? The timer counts down. 5, 4. The goddess proclaims, "I will come for you." Her words chill the soul. 3, 2, 1. The last second before returning to the real world. His body instantly teleports back. He barely manages to avert his gaze from the goddess. His familiar room. A cool breeze from the window stirs the white curtains. The wind blows quite strongly, so the curtains don't remain still for a moment. The young man sits on his bed, in red shoes, but his thoughts are far from returning. He thinks only of the goddess. What did she mean? And only a moment later does he remember that the shoes are still on him. The young man immediately gives the command, "Deactivate," and the shoes disappear from his feet. Now he can exhale. Whew! Almost got caught. His gaze is tired, exhausted. Okay, the main thing is, I'm back. He leaves the room. It doesn't matter what she said. Everything remained behind, in the world of spirits. In the living room on the sofa, his aunt greets him. "Yuan King, why do you lock yourself up when you go to bed? It's impossible to get through to you. Everything needs moderation. You just vanished." The young man immediately rushes to her and hugs her tightly, pressing himself against her chest. "Auntie, I missed you so much." This takes her by surprise. "What?" He gently pinches her cheek. This morning, everything around seems extraordinarily beautiful. The building of the sect office. Wang Tai approaches Guanya. "Is there any news from Yuanxi?" The girl's face is full of anxiety. "I've already called him 5 or 6 times. His phone is switched off. You keep asking me the same question." The boss sighs heavily. "Let's wait a little longer." She smiles encouragingly. "Yes, Chief. While the result is unknown, anything is possible. It's like Schrödinger's cat. You don't know if it's alive until you open the box." "A man in glasses, correct, sir." "That's not quite an accurate example. His further explanations only induce melancholy." Schrödinger's cat implies roughly equal chances for both scenarios. But in our case, the probability of surviving the Yulin tunnel is practically 0. Not wanting to listen any further, they exclaim in unison, "Shut up." This embarrasses his colleague. "Did I say something wrong?" Both put their hands to their faces in frustration. "What a blockhead!" Guanya remembers the boy. "That little Yuanxi, he looks good and speaks beautifully." She mentally imagines his reply. "You speak beautifully, sister." And then thinks to herself, becoming my colleague, he would certainly brighten up the gray days. She slowly loses the last remnants of hope. It's a pity it wasn't meant to be. Sinking into her chair, the girl stretches from fatigue. If I can't get in touch with him before the end of the working day, there is little point hoping for anything anymore. The chief, looking at her, gives instructions. "If any news arrives, inform me immediately." Suddenly, a ringing sound comes from the desk. The screen lights up, the phone vibrates. They freeze in hope. The name appears on the screen. Yuanxi Tianzun. The girl immediately jumps to her feet. "Yuanxi Tianzun!" She picks up the phone, feeling the boss's gaze upon her. Wang Tai urges her, "Put it on speakerphone." She turns on the speaker. "Yes," her voice trembles. "Yuanxi?" A familiar voice is immediately heard in the receiver. Sister Guanya. He descends the stairs. I was able to pass the test and successfully return from the spiritual world. Everyone freezes, stunned by his words. Wang Tai begins to glow with joy. Incredible. It's a miracle. My God, I can't believe my ears. There is no limit to the joy. A wider smile than ever before, but soon he regains control of himself and clears his throat slightly. Ahem. Keep your composure. Then he begins to reason aloud. The Yulin Tunnel, a spiritual rank S area that the Tai sect recognized as impossible to pass, has been successfully cleared. This will undoubtedly cause a stir. Wenxi's name will spread around after his first assignment alone. Moreover, the rewards in the spirit world of rank S are incredibly generous, and the first clearing is especially important. It's the quickest way to strengthen the organization. And another extremely important point, he imagines all the trials in the young man himself. In all of Shanghai, you can count on your fingers the tests for night wanderers. The existence of the Yulin Tunnel led to the organization losing many future night wanderers. But now, if a detailed guide is compiled, the number of new night wanderers will steadily increase every year. In his imagination, the young man becomes a key figure. Of course, in the future, rewards won't be as generous as with the first clearing. But for the official side, increasing the number of night wanderers is important in itself. That's enough to attract the attention of the Council of Elders. Guanya asks the first question, but how did you manage it? The young man raised his hand, hailing a taxi. It wasn't particularly difficult, really. Anyone with a pair of working legs could manage such a task. Wang Tai was pleased. Excellent work. Come to headquarters immediately. The man nodded. Okay. The call ended there. The boy in glasses didn't remain silent either. It seemed the newcomer possessed special skills giving him an advantage over ordinary people, though it wasn't yet clear in what area. Chief, I think you've dug up a real monster. But the chief was too excited to care. He didn't even pay attention to his subordinate's words. What monster? This kid is a genius. The man strode towards his office, tapping his cane. Though, if he were to write that in a report, it would come out nicely. Forgive me, sir, but I have found you a true monster. Let it not sound too elegant. Ha 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 ha. Entering the office, he sat down at the computer. Mr. Fu, I hasten to inform you of extremely important news. He began typing a message. I just received word from a night wanderer, whom I located. He has completed his trial and returned. And yes, you understood correctly. He was able to pass the Yulin Tunnel. After that, he clicked the mouse on the send button, and immediately the phone rang. Commander Fu called back instantly. Ha! So quickly? Smiling, he picked up the receiver. Hello. The person on the other end, looking out the window, said, Li Dongzi, I hope you understand how important your message is. Wang Tai nodded. Yes, Mr. Fu. I am amazed myself. I only just finished talking to that newcomer. The next question followed, did he develop a guide? Wang Tai responded, that will take time. Mr. Fu sank into his chair. Putting one leg over the other, he continued, to be honest, I didn't place any hopes on him. If this man was able to pass the Yulin Tunnel, then he possesses outstanding skills even by the standards of night wanderers. Li Dongze, you have added a true genius to the ranks of the White Tigers. The screen still displayed the sent message. I will report this to the Council of Elders and ensure that you are generously rewarded. Mr. Fu listened to his subordinate's joyful voice. Ha! I'm flattered to hear it. But then Wang Tai became thoughtful. He quietly clarified, however, should I keep this a secret? The problem is that many officers have long been aware of the appearance of the Night Wanderer found by the White Tiger Corps. We won't be able to hide the news for long, especially considering that the Five Elements Alliance and the Tai sect have reached an agreement whereby the sect has priority selection rights for Night Wanderers throughout the country. This is why the Alliance has almost no people of its own. However, Fu remained calm. The Tai sect previously expressed disinterest in the new Night Wanderer. What complaints do we have? You should be more wary of what's happening within the Five Elements Alliance. We must avoid a repeat of the 100 Flowers Union incident and outplay our opponents with virtue. Wang Tai asked for advice. Please, sir, give me guidance. The answer was simple, add money. Wang Tai asked again, what, add money? Mr. Fu was confident in his words. I don't like winning people over with money myself. Virtue, unlike them, provides reliable and long-term effect. But virtue takes time, while money works instantly. A calculating mind was immediately felt. Let him write the guide as soon as possible. I need complete information about the Yuling Temple. At the same time, we'll pay off the Tai sect. Wang Ti nodded. Understood. The line went dead. The caller ended the conversation. He put down the phone. Centurion Fu is not without reason considered the money prince among the four lords of the organization. Then he turned his gaze to the computer monitor. There was an open chat for Spirit World Wanderers, Canyon District. A conversation was taking place in the chat. Qing Teng. Li Dongzhe, how are things going with the Night Wanderer you recently recruited? Bai Long. Ha, that's a low blow. You know perfectly well that no one can pass the Yueling Tunnel. A new message arrived. Muscleman. Naturally, he died. One poor fellow from my district also disappeared in the Yueling Tunnel yesterday. He was never found. This caused him to smirk. He took the mouse. My friends, I wouldn't rush to conclusions on your part, and sent the file into the chat. The chat exploded with messages. Qing Teng. Thank you, Commander Li. Bai Long. Li is truly generous. Muscleman. Good health to Commander Li. Bai Long. Wait, what nonsense is this? Qing Teng. What are you talking about? Muscleman. Li Dongzhe. Explain to us what this means. Qing Teng. Li Dongzhe. He replied to them, I am very grateful for your concern. The Night Wanderer I recruited successfully passed the Yueling trial. This was immediately met with a reaction. Yuan Ting, Li Dongzhe, is this a silly joke? He pours himself a glass, glancing at the messages. Yuan Ting, joke, right? Answer. A new message comes from Fu Qingyang. Starting today, the first clearing of the Yueling Tunnel officially belongs to our Five Elements Alliance. I will upload a detailed guide to the database later. Since this is a spiritual world of S-rank, it is capable of nurturing Night Wanderers of higher quality than other worlds. I am confident that this will provide great assistance within the organization's plan for developing Night Wanderers. Silence fell in the chat, and then the conversation exploded again with renewed force. Muscleman. I suddenly want to arrange a corporate party. Floater. I won't go to sea this month. I suggest we get together today. Bai Long. I'm not against a corporate event, but it is unlikely that the 100 Flowers Union will be able to attend. Qing Teng. Very funny. Fist King. I will use the Yueling Tunnel Guide as leverage to secure quotas for Night Wanderers from the Tai sect. I'll try to provide each of your teams with one Night Wanderer within 5 years. Qing Teng. Thank you, Centurion Fu. Muscleman. Wow, miracles do happen. A brunette in a black shirt, staring blankly at the screen, freezes. How is this possible? He clutches his phone tighter, carefully reading the text. The Yueling Tunnel, which even the Tai sect could not handle, was suddenly passed? How did a newcomer manage to do it? Can we afford to miss such a promising wanderer? The man presses his hand to his forehead. The elder slipped up. How could he thoughtlessly make such promises? Because of this, the Tai sect remained without a valuable asset. How outrageous. Headquarters was located in a high-rise building. There's a knock on the door. This is Zhang Yuan King. Hello, everyone. I'm back. He is greeted by Guanya, who sits smiling in an armchair. Tsk. I thought our newbie was a harmless puppy. Turns out he's a little wolf. Turning to the newcomer, she extends her hand. Congratulations on becoming a Night Wanderer. Let my sister reward you with a hug. Come on, come to me. But the young man doesn't respond to her flirting. Ha. That's too valuable a reward. Let's save it for another time. And he thinks to himself, is she trying to seduce me? I am the very embodiment of Liu Xiaohui, an example of chastity and resilience against temptation. The girl gently fixes her hair. Ha. Your feigned seriousness is endearing. Come on, the chief wants to see you. They head towards the office. You've gathered a good harvest in the spiritual world, haven't you? But you don't need to tell anyone. Concealing your methods and strength is a necessity for every wanderer. The young man nods. Thank you, sister. And he notes to himself, I wasn't going to tell her anything anyway. The door opens. They proceed to the chief, who is sitting on a sofa. You've arrived. The young man sincerely rejoices at the meeting. Hello, chief. He smiles, looking at him. Do you know what I was most worried about just now? This throws the young man into confusion. What is it? The man lights a cigarette. That you would be kidnapped on your way to my office. Would you like something to drink? Yuan King smiles. Yes, cola. The chief immediately gives an order. Guanya, send someone for a cola. The girl doesn't miss the opportunity for a jab. He, your social status has risen before our eyes. The man pours wine into his glass. The younger generation is amazing. You did a great job. I'll have to ask you later to write a detailed guide on passing through the tunnel. The young man sits down on the sofa. No problem. Wang Tai raises his glass. First of all, I want to ask, did you find any noteworthy information about that temple? An assistant with a laptop enters the office. It's the same assistant in glasses. He adjusts them, sliding them across the bridge of his nose. May I join? Wang Tai nodwags. Come in, help our newbie prepare the report as well. An hour later, time flies by unnoticed. The young man is typing something into a laptop under the dictation of the youth. In general, that's what happened. But he decides to himself, I won't tell them about the red shoes becoming an exclusive reward. The chief listens to him with admiration. The item you mentioned, Demon Conquest Seal. Since it's a reward for completion, it must be of a high level. The man settles comfortably on the sofa. We jokingly call the spiritual world a game. But of course, everything is much more serious. In the spiritual world, artifacts are extremely rare and each one has uniqueness. Wine plays in a clean glass. Since you took out an artifact, it's possible that the stage with killing the tree will simply disappear in the future. Accordingly, the difficulty of the Yulin tunnel will decrease. Guanya stands next to the young man while the chief takes a sip. Spiritual worlds are subject to dynamic changes. You take an artifact, the difficulty decreases. You die inside and leave a valuable item for the monster. The difficulty increases. The red shoes are a good example. She carefully brings him up to date. Levels and tasks also vary. A guide is just general information, while specific solutions have to be made on the fly. The young man in glasses concludes. Since the shoes remained in the spiritual world, I assume the difficulty won't decrease. Yuan King visibly tenses up. Damn, he hit the nail on the head. The man, without looking away from his laptop, continues to make notes. It's strange. The information you shared doesn't qualify as S rank. Maybe you missed something. Yuan King immediately protests. What are you asking? I just need time to describe everything in detail. He looks away. Actually, I was just about to continue. In the cave, besides the tree demon, there was a stone tomb. Wang Tai is intrigued. A stone tomb, and what was inside? The young man in glasses freezes, waiting for an answer. The young man's face hardens. In the tomb lay the body of the mountain mistress. As soon as I removed the lid, she woke up. The chief exclaims in amazement, Woke up? And immediately steps towards him. He begins to pace back and forth. If she really awakened, there are two possible scenarios. He raises his index finger. First, the temple will cease to be just a test and update its status to a high-level instance. Then he adds a second. Second, the old temple will lower the difficulty level, but a new high-level instance will appear. Changes in spiritual worlds like these are crucial for the Tai sect leadership. The girl curiously freezes next to the young man. Continue. The more valuable your information, the higher the payment. The young man throws up his hands. Actually, money isn't the main thing. Right now, I'm more worried that this ancient goddess might come after me. However, the young man in glasses calms him down. Don't exaggerate. You haven't grown enough for such powerful beings to pay attention to you. This hurts the young man's feelings. Thanks. That really reassured me. Guanya coquettishly asks, And this goddess? Is she beautiful? To which she receives a too-direct answer. Even more beautiful than you. The guy with glasses doesn't miss an opportunity to tease the girl. As a research subject, she's far more valuable. Now these two men are starting to annoy the girl. Are you too tired of living? A vast territory of a huge estate. The man approaches the elder sitting in an armchair with a fan. Elder, news has arrived from Songhai. The night wanderer under Centurion Fu's command has cleared the Yulin tunnel. The old man instantly perks up. What? He rises slightly, turning to his assistant. Yan Ting, the manager of Songhai, have her ensure this information doesn't spread. But the assistant disappoints him. I fear it has already become widely known. The elder is dismayed. The assistant continues his report. The Centurion has already sent us a briefing. He looks at the old man with a heavy sigh. And there's another important message. He bows slightly. The ancient day wanderer has awakened. The old man's eyes widen in astonishment. From the following words, the elder's face darkens. The inspector wishes to convene a meeting immediately. Headquarters against the backdrop of the evening sky. Yuan King sits at his desk, browsing something on his phone. On the screen is data. Night Wanderer, chosen of the sun. Spirit of the dark night, skillfully wielding assassination and spirit control skills. Class insignia, Black Crescent Moon. One of the best order maintenance classes. Combat power is extremely high. Every Night Wanderer is a born killer in their own right. and spirit control skills make them an even more dangerous opponent. Night Wanderer is the name of the class at the Transcendent stage. After level 3, there will be an opportunity to advance in class. He rubs his head thoughtfully. Black Crescent Moon? But I remember seeing a full moon on my forehead on the first day. Probably shouldn't spread this around yet. He puts his phone down on the table. We can conclude that this is an unusual case. Until I find out if it's good or bad, it's better to keep quiet. Besides, there's no information about this on the forums. So a full moon is a rare phenomenon. He presses a finger to his lips. The rarer the case, the more carefully it needs to be concealed. Decided. I'll hold my tongue for now. Then he turns to the girl. Sister Guanya, I have a question. And without waiting for an answer, he continues, I was browsing the forums and read that the mountain goddess temple really exists, so the goddess herself was real too. The girl smiles slyly. Spiritual worlds exist somewhere between reality and illusion. In life, you can find prototypes of many scenes, for example, Lingang Reservoir or Daoshui Amusement Park. However, they don't actually exist in the real world. Otherwise, chaos would ensue. The guy feels relieved and sighs with relief. So the goddess I met was just an illusion from the spiritual world? And I was already starting to worry. Old woman, keep lying in your spiritual world. Guanya touches the guy's chin. Are you afraid of the goddess? Weren't you the one praising her unparalleled beauty? The guy looks away guiltily. Sister Guanya, don't hold a grudge. But they are interrupted by their approaching boss. Guanya, his face darkens. Come with me. One of the White Tiger Corps' scouts was killed in a hotel. She nods, yes sir. As they leave, the boss gives instructions to the guy. There's nothing else to do this afternoon. Go to university. He reluctantly agrees. Okay, but he is thinking about something else. The Spirit Wanderer was killed. A beautiful building of an expensive hotel. Many people sit on red chairs with yellow legs at round tables. In front of them stands a man with long blonde hair. This is an old man with neat mustaches and a long beard. Recently, the sect leader felt the death of the Demon Lord, so the main threat to the Tai sect has been eliminated. The old man describes the situation, introducing Yuan King. But the character card of the Demon Lord did not return to the spiritual world. Its location is unknown. We need to make every effort to find the heir of the Lord, and also the player's card. This heir will definitely have distinguishing features. His class insignia is not a crescent moon, but a black new moon. After passing the test of the spiritual world, he will receive a character card that ordinary wanderers do not have. The university building where the guy studies. A massive structure with a well-maintained sports ground. Yenking rides up to it on his bicycle. Stopping, he takes out his phone. 10 minutes from home to university is good, but then he hears someone talking. I just saw Shu Mengying at the entrance of the building. Yenking listens intently. Shu Mengying? The group queen? He listens to two guys talking. She's waiting for her sugar daddy again, says one. The other retorts, don't talk nonsense. My goddess can't be someone's kept woman. But the first insists, I'm telling the truth. A man in a luxury car comes to pick her up every Monday. I've seen it many times. They notice Yuan King nearby and wave at him. Oh, Yuan King, didn't you forget that we have to do the lab together? He waves back. Yeah. Yuan King walks away, lost in thought. So even the group queen, this society is drowning in luxury and pleasure. A luxurious hotel, the size of a multi-story building. The elevator is cordoned off with police tape. Police officers are collecting evidence, taking photos of the crime scene, and describing the details of what happened. Above the bodies covered with sheets stand the boss and Guanya. The girl has white gloves on her hands. Zhao Yingjun, consultant for public security management, a second-level scout from the White Tiger Corps. On the bed in the room lie two bodies covered with crimson-stained sheets. The deceased woman is named Liu Xiaowei. She's an ordinary person and Zhao Yingjun's mistress. There are no signs of struggle or attempted concealment in the room. The boss lifts a sheet with his cane. In the trash can, there are only 2 condoms, but 3 were taken from the package. Removing the sheet, he reveals the body of a man with a wound on his chest. Both victims were struck by a sharp object directly in the heart, but no signs of torture were found. Based on the missing condom, I suspect that Liu Xiaowei was attacked by the killer before she died, says the boss. The boss covers the man's body back up. He closes his eyes with bitterness. One member of the 5 Elements Alliance has been killed. This is a major incident. Public security officers have already reviewed surveillance footage, but haven't discovered how the killer left the scene. It seems he possesses advanced stealth techniques. Most likely, this is a spiritual world wanderer. Bitterness is visible in the young woman's eyes. Ordinary wanderers don't dare attack members of our alliance. Do you think this is the work of a wanderer with a dark class? She clarifies. But the man doesn't rush to conclusions. First, we need to check all of Zhao Yingjun's recent social contacts. If the perpetrator is a dark class owner, the seriousness of the incident reaches a new level. By the way, what was Zhao Yingjun's combat power? The woman has a phone in her hand. He had one protective artifact on him, she replies. She reviews the data. Although a second-level scout is strong in battle, it wouldn't be easy to kill him with a protective item. Moreover, people in neighboring rooms didn't hear anything. Based on this, we can preliminarily assess the killer's skills. She frowns. He is very dangerous. Suddenly, a female officer runs up to them. We just received new materials. The investigation revealed that Zhao Yingjun had many lovers, especially he liked to keep university students. We are currently investigating. The chief takes the papers and studies them. The hotel where he arranged dates was different each time, but the killer was able to accurately find the address and room number. This suggests that the perpetrator was well aware of his movements. Perhaps they were acquainted, or the killer had been following the victim for a long time. He looks away from the papers. No one knows a man better than the woman in bed with him. I think we can get some clues from Zhao Yingjun's lovers. His face darkens. Perhaps Zhao Yingjun was interrogated before his death. But what could the killer have extracted? Regardless of whether the murder was committed out of revenge or is the work of a dark class, we need to approach the situation with great caution. Guanya agrees with him. They can call Yuan Ting, allow him to absorb Zhao Yingjun's spiritual body and extract memories. Then they will be able to identify the killer. The chief sighs heavily, lowering his head. He frowns sadly. The Tai sect has summoned all official night wanderers to the capital for discussion of affairs. Yuan Ting is not currently in Songhai. This worries the woman. A discussion in the capital? In that case, it won't be possible to contact the other night wanderers. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? The killer clearly timed it, so they all collectively went to the capital. But suddenly, a spark of an idea flashes in her eyes. A familiar guy pops up in her memory. Wait a minute, we have a little one. No need to contact the Tai sect. She immediately decides I'll contact him. The teacher is lecturing students. One of the listeners, Yuan King, is buried in his phone. On the screen is a request. Form, spiritual world levels, transcendence stage. Levels 1 to 3. Saint stage, levels 4 to 6. Note, to learn about stages above Saint, follow the link. And below, the link itself. But a notification pops up, insufficient access rights. This irritates the guy. Damn your access rights. Suddenly the phone rings. Yuan King barely manages to duck under the desk so that the teacher doesn't notice. He whispers into the receiver, "Sister, I'm in class." But she immediately gets down to business. Be at the entrance in 20 minutes, I'll pick you up. University building. Yuan King exits the campus and greets the woman. Sister Guanya. She twirls a car key on her finger. Get in. The guy takes the front passenger seat. Aren't you investigating the murder of a wanderer? Guanya smiles slightly. We need a night wanderer to absorb the deceased's spiritual body and extract memories. You don't have any problems with that, do you? Uncertainty is visible in the guy's eyes. Well, I can try. Absorbing a spiritual body isn't difficult. It's an innate skill of the class. However, I'm not sure about reading memory. I've never done this before. Guanya gets behind the wheel. You won't know if you don't try. He notices a girl in a pink skirt and black stockings through the window. The brunette is dressed provocatively. A tight white top, short pink skirt, black stockings, pink boots, and a bag. Shu Meng Ying? What an outfit. Sometime later, the guy is already inside the morgue building. He freezes over the body of the deceased. The chief commands, begin. Yuan King carefully examines the man's body. His eyes light up with blue light. Extending his hand, he absorbs the spirit, as if extracting an identical spiritual silhouette. After a person's death, most of the consciousness dissipates. The spiritual body becomes sluggish, and only the deepest part of the mind remains, obsession. However, memories immediately before death are the strongest, which means they are easiest to read. Then he slightly opens his mouth and draws in the spirit extracted from the dead body. His mind merges with the consciousness of the spirit. A naked woman with long hair curled up in an embryonic pose. He finds himself next to her. Turning around, he notices her. There, a woman? The guy noticeably blushes. The chief should have described the details of the assignment more clearly. Suddenly, a gun is pointed at him. A formidable, powerfully built man with a slanted gaze. Where is the Holy Grail? Where is the list? A realization dawns on him. This must be the killer. The young man steps back. I don't know anything, truly, but thinks to himself, I can hear my own voice. What a strange feeling. The man takes a step forward. You didn't take the chance I gave you. Rage blazes in his eyes. You didn't take the chance. At that moment, a blade pierces his chest, inflicting excruciating pain. His head begins to throb with agony. He instinctively clutches it with his hands. Before his eyes appears a scene, the attacker committing vile violence against a woman. These nightmarish memories flash through his mind like a film reel. Finally, he returns to reality. I saw the killer. However, reading memories is unsettling. His sister reaches out to him. You deserve hugs from your sister. The chief remains composed. Pull yourselves together. How inelegant. He immediately gets down to business, addressing the young man. Yuan King. What did he look like? Did you remember any distinguishing features? Yuan King reconstructs the image in his memory. A man appearing to be between 30 and 35 years old, of medium height with a strong build, a scar on his left cheek, sparse eyebrows and a fierce gaze. The chief records the details. With such specifics, there's a good chance of identifying the killer. Excellent. Guanya clarifies, did he commit violent acts against a woman? He lowers his gaze with regret. It appears so. The girl concludes, Chief, I suspect the killer is mentally unstable. Wang Tai doesn't hide his disgust. Scum like him deserve to burn in hell. Yuan King listens to their arguments with doubt. Mentally unstable, why are you so sure? Wang Tai decides to explain. Do you remember the punishment mechanism for low moral character? The young man nods. Yes, I remember. The murder of Zhao Yingjun's mistress was committed to eliminate a witness, Wang Tai continues. For the system, this is an acceptable action, but molesting and assaulting the victim will cause him to lose additional points. The young man suddenly realizes, oh, I understand. An image of the unfortunate woman flashes in his mind. If a spiritual world wanderer commits a crime, a certain number of morality points are deducted. Any sane person would try to avoid punishment. Murdering to eliminate a witness is a forced measure, but violence against the victim inevitably deprives you of even more points. This is only done in two cases. Either the criminal has plenty of moral points and can afford the risk, or he has mental problems and cannot control his animal nature. Guanya thoughtfully brings a finger to her chin. Wanderers with unstable minds, whether ordinary or dark class, must be eliminated. In megacities like ours, they are like a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, their moral level will drop below 60, and this will attract hunters from all over the city. However, before that, the criminal can cause a lot of trouble. One such madman can easily harm many innocent people. She looks intently at the young man. There are plenty of horrors and dangers in the spiritual worlds, especially if you wander alone. Even after completing the trial, the wanderer may suffer severe psychological trauma that manifests over time. This is especially true for you, a night wanderer. If you ever feel that something is wrong with your condition, be sure to let us know. We will provide psychological counseling. Wan King nods. Okay, I understand. Then he changes the subject. By the way, what about the killer's DNA? He couldn't have gotten rid of all traces. The young man ponders. If we obtain even the smallest biological sample, we could easily establish his identity. The chief interrupts them. What else did you see in Zhao Yingjun's memory? Yuan King recalls another detail. The killer was asking about a certain Holy Grail and list. Guanya and Wang Tai exchange glances. What grail and list are we talking about? Wang Tai asks, but Yuan King just shrugs his shoulders. There were no details in the memory. The chief's gaze becomes suspicious. It seems Zhao Yingjun was hiding a lot from us. As a sign of appreciation, he pats the young man on the shoulder. Excellent work. You found an important lead. After we catch the culprit, I will request a reward for you. For now, follow Guanya to create a facial composite of the killer. The young man nods. Okay, Chief. Then he gives instructions to the girl. By the way, order him a work uniform. She nods. Understood. As they walk, she informs him without waiting for a question. In the future, you must wear official attire at work. This amuses the young man. I understand. Large organizations always have strict dress codes. But the girl shakes her head. No, the organization has nothing to do with it. It's a personal requirement of the chief. He believes that everyday clothes are not elegant enough. Such an answer seems strange to him. What does this have to do with work? He continues to ponder, glancing at the girl walking beside him. I'm starting to think our chief is obsessed with elegance. He lets her go ahead of him. Then he checks his character card. Experience has increased from 42 to 44%. Warmth spread through his body after absorbing the soul, and he felt a surge of energy and comfort. The young man decides to inquire about this. Sister, what did I get the 2 experience points for? The girl reveals the secret. You night wanderers can level up by absorbing spiritual bodies. However, members of the Thai sect are not thrilled about it. Every time they help interrogate a spirit, these night wanderers frown and agree with great reluctance. He has a logical question. Why? But the girl just throws up her hands. How should I know? I'm just a scout. My combat skills are almost useless. The young man skeptically scoffs to himself. Nonsense. Even a 2nd-level scout could easily take me down, right? And after the 4th level, their combat skills and physical abilities become simply frightening. He decides to cheer up his companion. It seems you underestimate yourself too much? The girl gives him a puzzled look, and a moment later she smiles slyly. Want to help your sister with training? Wan King quickly waves his hand. Ha ha ha, no way, I'm still very green. After some time, the facial composite of the killer was ready. Wan King carefully studies the image. Yes, about 70 to 80% similarity. Meanwhile, Guanya had already gathered information. So, the identity has been established. This is Wu Xiangjun. Originally from Wu City, Jiangnan Province, he lived in Songhai for a long time. In the 12th year, he was tried for intentional infliction of grievous bodily harm, sent to prison, and after his release, he disappeared as if swallowed by the earth. Wang Tai nods with satisfaction. With this data, we will find him within 2 hours at most. Yuangxing raises his eyebrows in astonishment. So quickly! Guanya immediately gives him a lesson. Never doubt the abilities of scouts. Wang Tai turns to the young man. Yuanxi, you shouldn't interfere with further events. Although the Night Wanderer possesses immense combat power, you currently lack the experience and psychological stability of a warrior. The youth smiles in response. Understood, and thinks to himself, good pay, not overloaded. A fairy tale, not a job. Guanya and the chief enter the elevator. Chief, do you think the criminal could have already left Songhai? After all, he killed an officially registered wanderer. Wang Tai hides his hands in his pockets. No, I highly doubt it. You did hear what Yuanxi said. The killer still needs to obtain the Holy Grail in the list. The girl crosses her arms over her chest. And what exactly is that? He doesn't turn to her. We'll find out as soon as we catch him. The kitchen in Yuanzi's house. The girl extends a plate. Mom, it seems ghosts have settled in our hospital. The boy frowns puzzledly. Ghosts? The grandmother looks at her daughter in amazement. What? She sits down at the table, not taking her eyes off her daughter. What ghosts are you talking about? Tell me more details. The girl begins her story with a frightened face. When Sister Joe from our department was on night duty, she heard children's laughter in the office, but as soon as she went to check, it all stopped. Wanzi bites his chopsticks, listening attentively. And then she went to the bathroom and saw an infant sitting on her shoulder in the mirror. She almost had a heart attack from fright. The girl continues with obvious excitement. Not only Sister Joe, but other colleagues working at night say they sometimes hear children's laughter. Everyone whispers that it is the restless spirit of an aborted baby who now wanders around the hospital. The grandmother frowns suspiciously. What nonsense. Next time you go on night duty, I'll ask Yuanzi to keep you company. And here the boy enjoys his dinner. I think the hospital is a good place to collect some experience points. City Hospital, marked with a large red cross. Wanzi approaches the building. I need to increase my strength before I enter the spiritual world again. Perhaps spirit devouring is the best way to level up. The difference between 1 and 99% progress is colossal. A hospital is a place of birth, illness, and death. For a night wanderer, it's an ideal farming spot. He looks at the brightly lit building. Crematories would also work, but they are all in the suburbs. It takes too long to get there. The young man heads towards the entrance. I wonder why the Thai sect doesn't use such an obvious source of experience. Is it due to internal rules, or does it harm the morality score? Before him is a row of chairs for visitors. Oh, I see some free seats. He sits down, taking out his phone. There's no mention of this ghost on the forum. A notification comes in. Urgent, arrest warrant, temptation level 3 Wu Xiangjun. Following that is a detailed description of the situation. Wu Xiangjun, Temptation Level 3, killed a member of the White Tiger Corps from the Five Elements Alliance, Scout Zhao Yingjun, on April 18th. In the evening of April 19th, at 7:05 p.m., he escaped during an encirclement operation by the Canyon District Squad. The criminal is extremely dangerous. This isn't a common tempter, however. He has already been seriously wounded by the pursuit group. Location unknown. All Spiritual World Wanderer squads should be vigilant. Oh Xiangjun is on the verge of losing control. Upon encounter, eliminate on the spot. Reward for locating the target, 50,000 yuan. For elimination, 100,000 yuan. Below begins a discussion. Keilu District, is this a joke? The criminal is on the verge of losing control? What is the Canyon Squad doing? As soon as the killer breaks free, he will start killing everyone in sight. By the time the system issues an elimination order, rivers of blood will have already flowed. Other wanderers will laugh at us. People will ask why we get so much money if we can't track down one criminal. A complete failure. Reading this, Yuanzi thinks, Ao Xiangjun escaped. The chief and his squad are already after him. It seems luck wasn't on their side in the first clash. The young man's gaze becomes heavy. But since they clashed, fragments of Wu Xiangjun's flesh and blood must have remained at the scene. Maybe I can use the red shoes to track him down. He immediately dismisses this thought. No, forget it. It's too early to reveal that I have red shoes. The young man puts his phone in his pocket. For now, I'm playing the role of a harmless level 1 wanderer. Having such an artifact will attract unwanted attention. He leans back on the chair. I must avoid these kinds of problems. At this moment, his gaze catches something strange, specifically the spirit of an old man in front of him. Here are my experience points. The ghost aimlessly wanders among doctors and nurses. Sorrow is frozen on his face. Poor fellow. His spirit cannot find peace. Without hesitation, he draws it into himself. Shoo you erp! The ghostly essence merges into his body, and again he feels foreign memories. Before his mental gaze hangs the body of an old man. Apparently, he was seriously and painfully ill. He met his end in a hospital bed, wearing an oxygen mask and with tears in his eyes. I will never smoke again. With this cry, he returns to reality. I won't smoke. I won't smoke. And only a second later does he realize that he has returned to the real world. Those around him look at him with bewilderment, and he feels embarrassed. He scratches the back of his head in embarrassment. Ha! My lungs are really bothering me. I'm definitely quitting now. Then he checks the character progress. Experience, 44.5%. After that, he considers the next course of action. Zhao Yingjun's spiritual body brought me 2 experience points, while an ordinary person only brings 0.5. Their value differs, so I'll have to absorb more spiritual bodies of ordinary people. His gaze catches a few more ghosts. There are plenty of them in the hospital. Yuanzi anticipates the feast. Come on, don't be shy, come closer. One of the souls particularly catches his eye. It's a young man. Oh, the soul of that guy looks appetizing. He immediately pulls her close. A man's reason penetrates his consciousness. A young man is being dragged along by another stronger companion. It seems he has had too much to drink. He's lucky to have a friend nearby. This guy isn't going to die from drinking, right? He supports his comrade's head with his hand. She takes off his sneakers. Wow, his friend is more caring than any girl. Carefully lowers his head to the floor. He helps undress. What is he doing? And takes advantage of the moment. Wait! This is wrong! Horrified by what he saw, Yuan King cries out, Ah! Once again, it attracts the attention of the people sitting nearby. The man next door asks with concern, Young man, are you all right? The second man in the queue also shows concern. Do you have an appointment? Shall I show you the way? Zhang Yuan King jumps up from his seat. No, everything is perfectly fine. But to himself he thinks, that was too frightening. Enough psychological damage for today. He is heading to the restroom and washing his hands. And following that, a face, the reflection in the mirror looks bewildered. I hope that young man really died of drunkenness. My God. Then he takes a towel. Absorbing spiritual bodies is far from the most pleasant path of development. Now it's not surprising that the night wanderers from the Tai sect avoid this method. At this rate, it won't be long before one develops schizophrenia. Carefully wipes his face. Better take a look at the progress and calm down. Experience progress, 46%. The duration of the night patrol skill has not changed. Still 9 seconds. However, I feel my physical attributes increasing. My vital energy is becoming stronger. Placing his hand on his chest, he calms himself. Phew. Okay, it's bearable. Even though I experienced a terrifying ordeal, at least I made some improvements. He is heading for the exit. Let's consider this a work injury. It's time to go home. He throws over his shoulder as he walks. Sunlight floods one of the skyscrapers. Mr. Fu speaks at the meeting. 5 captains, more than 10 fighters, and dozens of security personnel were deployed, but the criminal is still at large. Before him sit representatives of various alliances: Crimson Flame, Alliance of 100 Flowers, and the Central Court. I am disappointed, he adds. A robust man, a representative of the Scarlet Flame, takes the floor. Mr. Fu, Wu Xiangzhong, is clearly possessed by some evil force. That is why he went mad and gained such exceptional skills. This became the reason for the failure. Moreover, an enticer is an extremely dangerous class. But Mr. Fu is unwavering. Failure is failure. Making excuses is the lot of cowards. Do not further disgrace your name. The interlocutor clicks his tongue disapprovingly. As you wish. Then he casts a heavy gaze over everyone present. Looking at their faces, he continues, because of your failure, the situation has worsened. A gravely wounded tempter can easily get out of control. Considering his cruelty, this threatens a huge number of victims. Turning his gaze to the second half of the table, he declares, from this moment on, all Wanderer squads are officially involved in the capture. If you do not eliminate the threat within 3 days, I will send you all to training camp. A stifling silence descends upon the hall. Mr. Fu exhales heavily. Of course, this failure also concerns me. He sits down in his place. I overestimated your abilities and placed my hopes on you in vain. That is why I will personally participate in the capture. Since Wu Xiangjun's main goals remain the Grail and the list, he will definitely continue searching, targeting the family of his last victim. Track him along this line. His gaze is serious as ever. Time is running out. The meeting is over, and you, Guanya, stay behind. The girl has a bandaged arm. Li Dongzi said you were injured? He asks with interest. She discontentedly looks away. Let's get straight to the point. We have a lot of work to do. A trace of concern flickered in his eyes. My aunt called me and said that you should return to your homeland next month. She has already chosen a husband for you. But there isn't a trace of joy on the girl's face. I have already made it clear that I will not enter into an arranged marriage. Just because she was willing to become a sacrifice for her family doesn't mean I should follow the same path. Crossing her legs, she continues. The Fu family is descending into senility. You should quickly take control and send the elders into retirement. But he replies rudely, if you don't want to marry, show results. Stop wasting your talent. Our family only respects the strong. Instead of a chair, he sits on the edge of the table. I will arrange for you to be transferred to the 3rd team of the Changtai district. They have high results and a lot of awards every year. There you will gain experience, and I will have a way to cover for you in front of Auntie. In response, she smiles. The offer is tempting, considering that my current team isn't the most effective. However, give me a little more time. An interesting young man has joined our ranks. I want to observe him. She rises from the table. You would do better to worry about yourself. If Wu Xiangjun stages a bloodbath, it will inevitably affect your position. In that case, the elders won't allow you to enter the council. The girl heads towards the exit. Goodbye, brother. Zhang Yuankeng walks down the university corridor, lost in thought. In the morning, specialized classes, and after lunch, a conversation with Madam C. It is necessary to strengthen relationships with colleagues and expand one's social circle. Lately, every day has become so busy. 2 of his friends walk behind him. Yesterday, the police came to Shu Mengying, and after that she cried in the dormitory. The second friend asks again, the police? What for? Zhang Yuanqing listens to their conversation. It's related to a wealthy man who supported Shu Mengying. The police were collecting information about him. The second one speculates, probably he fled with the money? Now the economy is unstable, many businessmen are going bankrupt. Yanqing comes to the conclusion, one cannot rely entirely on a single patron. He passes by the university window, and suddenly stops. His gaze falls on a girl with a man, Shu Mengying, and with her. Upon closer inspection, he recognizes the man as a killer, Wu Xiangzhong. The girl's face is contorted in fear. She's clearly frightened. This does not escape Yuan King's attention. He immediately begins to speculate. So, Zhao Yingjun was supporting this girl? That's why investigators were coming after her? Yuan King starts to worry about her. Considering Wu Xiangzhong's cruelty, if I don't intervene, Xu Mengying will surely perish. They walk somewhere aside. Even if she is mercenary, that's no reason to let her die, he thinks. He immediately takes out his phone and types a message. Wu Xiangzhong took Xu Mengying away from Songhai University. Please inform the other squad members as soon as possible. I can't talk anymore. They are already entering the underground parking lot. I intend to follow them. He presses the send button and immediately rushes down the stairs. He clutches his phone in his hand. A message appears on the screen. Yuanshi Tianzun, don't act rashly. The young man begins to activate his skill. A soft blue glow envelops his body. Night patrol is activated. I probably won't be able to defeat Wu Xiangzhong, but with red shoes and this skill, at least I can escape. He cautiously descends into the underground parking lot. Scoundrels like Wu Xiangzhong should be eliminated at the first opportunity. His presence is truly undetectable. Yuanshi hides behind one of the columns and listens to the conversation. I really don't know what you're talking about. I only spent time with Zhao Yingjun for money. He paid me once a month. Wu Xiangzhong already presses a knife to her throat, terrifying the girl. I don't know that. I don't know this. You are getting on my nerves. I ask you one last time. Did Zhao Yingjun reveal any information about the Holy Grail in the list? The girl bursts into tears of horror. I swear he didn't tell me anything. Please let me go. She continues to sob before him. The man's face contorts with anger. I gave you a lot of chances, but you never took advantage of them. With a sharp movement, he grabs her by the throat and lifts her off the ground. Gah, the girl begins to choke. He just smiles watching this. Useless. His grip only tightens. If you are good for nothing, then at least die for me. He directs the tip of the knife towards the girl. Suddenly he feels something, someone's presence. He turns sharply, trying to find the uninvited guest. Who is there? As if she were an unwanted thing, he throws the girl aside. She crashes to the floor with a thud. Show yourself, scum! The opponent activates his power, enveloping himself in purple light. Suddenly his attack hits an invisible barrier. This only pleases the tempter. I know where you are. Jumping, he delivers a kick to the place where his attack was deflected and rests his hand on Yuan King's arm. However, the young man cannot withstand such pressure and flies away at high speed. He immediately realizes the colossal difference in their strength. Wu Xiangzhong freezes, trying to make out the opponent. Night Wanderer? But this only fuels his interest. So much the better. Yuan King manages to activate the skill again. Night Patrol activated. And the space where the tempter strikes turns out to be empty. He immediately starts searching for the enemy. Show yourself, coward! The tip of his knife begins to emit a sinister power, and Yuan King hides behind one of the cars, covering his wounded arm. I almost died. He has a psychic type class, but he acts like a close combat tank. It hurts so much. Xiangzhong literally walks across the roofs of cars in search of the boy. He anticipates an easy victory. There are no Night Wanderers of the Tai sect in Songhai right now. Are you from the Five Elements Alliance? Humph. A pathetic first-level wanderer dared to follow me. A sinister smile plays on his face. Let's see. Level 1, Night Patrol skill. So, the invisibility time does not exceed 20 seconds. Will you be able to hide for long? Yuan King laughs at the fact that the enemy overestimates him so much. What 20 seconds? My limit is 9. He decides to quickly assess the strength of the opponent in the hope of coming up with a plan. Wu Xiangzhong has powerful close combat skills. After killing, he enters a state of frenzy, and his fighting ability reaches a new level. In addition, after the battle begins, the tempter can leave a mark on the enemy with his skill. Even if the victim runs away, she can be pursued for a long time. His gaze like a punishing eye, seeing through everything. And most importantly, his main trump card is Temptation. This skill relates to mental control, and, combined with mastery of close combat, he becomes an incredibly dangerous opponent. The young man understands. Time is almost up. 9 seconds are running out. His body slowly manifests, starting with his hand. Xiaojun instantly feels the approach of an enemy rushing in to attack. The hero is still trying to take cover behind the front of the car. With a powerful kick, Xiaojun pushes the car and manages to glimpse Yuan King's clothing. Judging by your attire, do you study at the local Songhai University? He asks with interest. Looking around, he continues, Don't you understand that revealing your identity puts your entire family at risk? Since I know you are a student, it will not be difficult for me to track down and destroy your whole lineage. Yuan King grips the knife tighter. 10, 9, 8. Yuan King is already hiding behind a pillar. What a madman. flashes through his mind. His gaze falls on the powerful back of the enemy. Even in physical strength, he surpasses me. I won't be able to hide forever, the hero muses. If I can't finish him with one strike, there's no point in even trying to attack this scoundrel. Cautiously peering out from behind the pillar, he assesses his chances. I have a maximum of 2 uses of night patrol left, and then I'll have to run. If I can't neutralize him here, my family will be in danger. Surprisingly, Xiangjun doesn't tire of searching. The Tempter has 3 skills: Rage, Mark, and Temptation. The first can be disregarded until he kills someone. Most likely, the enemy has already left a mark on me, but Night Patrol is still concealing my presence. The opponent's face reveals a thirst for murder. He should most fear his close combat skills and, of course, temptation. Yuan King's face darkens as he realizes the real balance of power. It's a pity it isn't night now. He gathers all his will into his fist. There is only one option left: to use the shoes. Xiangjun climbs onto the roof of the car again to get a better view of the battlefield. He begins counting down to the moment he sees the enemy again. 3 seconds! 3, 2. Yuan King assumes a fighting stance, but then notices something suspicious. In front of him, a pair of red women's shoes. Xiangjun immediately realizes what's going on. An artifact? Flashes through his mind. The shoes address Xiangjun. Don't you want to dance with me? March in place if you agree. The Tempter doesn't hide a smirk. Ha. I assume this is the simplest type of artifact, like item price. Kid, haven't you seen horror movies? Ghosts and all sorts of evil spirits are terribly afraid of strong yang energy. He bites his tongue until it bleeds. Looking at the shoes with arrogance, he declares, "Just one sip of blood from the tip of my tongue, and your item will become useless." The shoes rise higher. Humph! But the enemy isn't frightened in the least. Ha! They fly even closer, and the opponent extends his knife forward. He tries to cut the shoes with the blade, but fails. What? Instead, the shoes deliver a crushing blow to his chest, and then fly right into his nose. While the enemy collapses onto the concrete, the shoes observe him from the roof of the car. Xiangjun wipes blood from his lips. Did I misjudge his artifact? He muses in bewilderment. How can a night wanderer of the first level possess such a powerful thing? That concludes today's story. Write in the comments if you want to hear the continuation, and of course rate this manhwa on a 10-point scale. See you in the next video.